Good evening. Welcome to the August 6th, 2026 Keystone School Board Meeting Work Session. May we please have a flag salute and then followed by a moment of silence. Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Thank you all very much. Are you ready?
Yeah.
May we have a roll call vote of the board members, please?
Dr. Baldino?
Here.
Ms. Bohartz? Mr. Shear?
Here.
Ms. Lynch?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Here.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Here.
Mr. Scab?
Here.
Mr. Smith?
Here.
Mr. Wykoff?
Here.
8 members present.
Thank you, Christine. You do a great job. 1E, the executive sessions. We had an executive session with the board. Tom Templeton, who is our consultant to help us through the superintendent search from 5:31 to 7:40 on July 15th. And then we had a follow-up, Tom left, we had a follow-up executive session. Dr. Lonaconis gave a staff issue update from 7:45 to 8:15. And then we had an executive session tonight, August 6th, from 6 o'clock until 6:20. The item for discussion was the Renova campus landscape issue, and thank you all for all the information, very helpful, and Dr. Lonaconis will have something to say during his report. We're very fortunate that of the information that we received. Thank you. We have a special guest this evening, Rick with Berkheimer. Please come up to the table, and we look forward to your presentation, and thank you for the handout. This is very informative. And whenever you're ready, please speak into the microphone. Oh, we didn't. Oh, thank you. One moment, please. I'm so sorry. I missed an item. For the board, do we have a consensus to approve the agenda as presented?
Yeah.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you, Christine. I miss it every time. Yes, please, Berkheimer, introduce yourself to everyone, and you have the floor, sir.
Yes, thank you. You hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, my name's Rick Stover. I know a number of you and pleased to meet newly elected board members, and please throw any questions or anything at myself. And along with me from Berkheimer is Margaret Fonero. And Margaret is our earned income tax director, as well as our remote offices throughout Pennsylvania. She directs and manages all of our remote offices. I'd just like to start out real quick. Give me maybe 5 minutes or so. Then I want to throw it to maybe a question and answer period if you have anything that you want to bring to our attention or you need answered. But I kind of want to address a couple of areas. Quickly just kind of introduce Berkheimer to your new members. We are Pennsylvania's largest tax collection agency in Pennsylvania. Been in business, this is our 90th year.
Oh.
We have 2,600 clients throughout 48 counties in Pennsylvania, 15 offices throughout the state. We have over 550 employees. And of those 550 employees, 54% of our staff has a tenure of 5 years and greater. And I believe Margaret has been with our firm over 32 years. So I'm just the looks of the company, and Margaret's the brains. But first I want to start about our Macklehattan office. We're located down in Macklehattan in the UPMC Plaza off of 220. 1 Outlet Lane, Suite 209, A like an apple in Macklehattan. We've had some issues with taxpayers or your constituents locating our office. To address that, we hear you, and we went to the management of the facility, and they allowed us to we have a Berkheimer sign right when you come off of 220 under the UPMC sign.
Right.
When you turn and you turn left coming into the plaza, there's a Berkheimer sign there, and they allowed us to do a drop-down sign right at the entrance to our office.
Cool.
So you can relay I guess the difficult part is when you turn left into the plaza, if you stay just straight, you go past a doctor's office, you go past UPMC, you go all the way down to the end of that plaza, you stay straight, and you make a right-hand turn. And you go about 100 feet, and there are some parking, probably about 8 parking stalls. And you can get out of your car, and you can walk over and you can look straight, and we're the second office on the right-hand side, and you can see our drop-down sign. So hopefully that eliminates some issues with trying to locate us. What I did was, if you look in your file on the 3rd page, I printed off, Elizabeth, I think I had emailed you and Dr. Baldino kind of contact information for this particular office. So if you want to hand this out to your constituents, that would be great. I think I also sent it to Noelle Green. I think she was on my email as well. So anytime, we've got our website, we have our telephone number, we have our office hours, we have the location, we have our earned income, our local service, and our business privilege tax direct numbers that they can just pick up the phone, call it, and they'll be able to reach us and work out the issues. Second issue I'd like to talk about is our staffing. Presently at that office, we opened the office in March.
No, we opened in January.
January, okay. January, we staffed it with 4 employees. Recently, 2 left. We are rehiring 2 more, and they begin beginning of September. And the issue with a satellite office that we start up is that we hire employees from Clinton County, from your area. So we have to do online training. We have managers that come to the site, and we do in-office training. There's presently, I think the 2 have completed like a 6-month training, and now are to the next step that will be coming up to do auditing, to run audits on behalf of Berkheimer and a tax filer. I get my point to this is that, and we had talked about somebody wanted a direct line. Why can't calls go right directly to the Macklehattan office? And the reasoning behind that, number one, is staff, whether they can actually at this point handle
Sure.
a tax question or a tax issue. And secondly, with direct lines, with our phone software, we need to monitor every call that comes in. We monitor it for training. We monitor it for issues if things are being said that aren't accurate, that we can follow up and we can train on it. But we're just, that's one of the reasons why we don't have dedicated phone lines into the office. But the calls that do come in are handled by, and Margaret can touch on this if you want to deep dive into it. when calls come into the office, when I mention all of the experience that we have at Berkheimer, when those calls come in, they get routed to the 15 offices. They get routed to customer service representatives at our Bangor, Pennsylvania headquarters. So there's a huge staff that can handle these questions. So it's kind of not like we're putting our office and our teammates out on an island. We are there to back them. If somebody walks into our office out in Macohaton and our staff can't handle a question, we are able there. Margaret's available. Carrie Antonoli, who's been out here, she's available. We have a number on staff that are available that they can text, they can do the Teams call, and just walk them through and handle the incoming traffic that's present in our office. It's being January and now we're into August. I mean, we're 8 months into this process. And there have been bumps. But I don't think that since I've been coming out here, I've been out here for a little over a year, coming out and visiting and talking to folks. I don't think that I've ever promised that it's going to be a completely smooth process, because there have been hiccups with anything. So Margaret, myself, I have my business card on there. I think that Chris Scaff and Elizabeth, yourself, that Chris has had a couple of taxpayers in his three areas that he's a delegate for, and he's referred them to me, and we've been able to work out. And Elizabeth, I think the lady that you had referred to me.
Took care of everything beautifully.
Okay. So that's our goal. That's what we want. That's what we want to do. Then just lastly, I just wanted to, I had addressed the direct lines or the phone lines into the office, and if you need to discuss it further, we can do that. But lastly, some services that are available to your taxpayers from Berkheimer. We have our website, which we recently just updated. On it are tax forms for both individuals and businesses, the EIT, local service, per capita, occupation assessment, real estate, utility. They can download any type of form that is needed. E-filing, payments, you can go online and pay. You can go online and check PSD codes. You can file and complete appeal processes. And there's a frequently asked question drop-down boxes that if you have a particular question that is there, you can just drop it down and check it yourself. We also have it's called Berk app. You can download an app and you can just file your taxes or find questions or input just right directly on our app. And lastly, Elizabeth, you had asked about the business privilege tax, the registration fee. We had received the ordinance from the school district, the business privilege tax code ordinance, which is the next, which is page 1 of the ordinance. And if you look at the next page under section 5, registration, it just states that after the effective date of this resolution, any person desiring to commence or recommence any business as herein defined with Keystone Central School District shall register the tax administration, pay a one-time registration fee of $10. Registration shall be permanent but will expire when the business is inactive for a complete tax year. Now, we've sent them out. People, I've answered some questions relative to them. People have paid their $10 registration fee, and people have contested it, saying that they've been in business in Clinton County for 35 years, and we have, in some cases, refunded the $10 back to the corporation or the individual. So, with that, I'll throw out questions that,
Um, It's open to the floor.
Everybody I've sent to Rick he's done excellent with and got them handled right away. One of them was even a tax collector. She had some problems and called him, and she called me back 2 days later and said, thank you, and we're happy.
Same report.
Yeah.
Um,
How much foot traffic does the local office in Maclehattan get so far?
Very little. We haven't had a ton. Since we opened it, it's increased some, but not terribly.
Okay.
The real estate, when that was due, that typically is the most traffic. We probably, I want to say there were 7 business privilege that we got. So if I had to guess, I don't have that. I could get you an actual figure because we do track that. I wouldn't think that there's been more than 30.
Okay.
Is there anyone else? Okay. Well, okay, well, thank you so much. This is very informative. Again, you just started doing this for our community and we understand.
There's gonna be hiccups. People
Yeah.
don't like change.
That's reasonable.
I think, I think that's the biggest problem.
Bill, you had questions when we talked about it. What were you hearing?
Well, one of the things, I saw a bunch of stuff online, which of course I know nothing about,
Right.
you know. Well, social media, you know.
Mhm.
One of my friends has had some problems with little details that, and I'm gonna speak to him and
Steer them over.
have him call him, so I'm gonna suggest that he does that, you know, and
Yeah.
just, he's not a guy that overly complains. If he's having a problem, that he's having a problem. you know,
Right.
So, we'll see, you know. I haven't done anything yet. I apologize. It's just, you know, the whole month of July was a vacuum for me because with family stuff, I got nothing accomplished. If anybody has goats, send them over to my house.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Okay.
Thanks, Rick.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And safe travels.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Next item is 2B, remote learning review and data analysis. The speaker on that is Justin Eby.
Yep.
Thank you, Justin. Please come up
Thank you.
Absolutely.
and introduce yourself, and we appreciate it, even though we know who you.
Good evening. My name's Justin Evie. Currently the HR director and collector of all other things. So I'm going to just give you a brief overview of remote learning. It's flexible instruction days and remote learning are kind of one and the same thing. So when we're talking about flexible instruction days, we are referring to remote learning where students are not physically in the building in person, but they're getting their education through Zoom, Google Meet, could be portions that are live learning, kind of like if you zoomed into this meeting, you would participate, you would be live, or you could watch a recording of this meeting and get that content, and that would be asynchronous or it would not be live. So to give you a little bit of background, remote learning started in 2020 when we all experienced COVID. So if you recall back in the spring of 2020, schools were shut down. And then after that, the Department of Education, as well as the CDC, made recommendations of how schools should re-engage with learning and instruction, because obviously we couldn't stay closed forever. There were a lot of funds that were supplied to schools to help get the infrastructure for technology to the point where you could have one-to-one technology devices and then provide that synchronous live learning to students. So during that time, the things that impacted us that caused remote learning was the pandemic itself. So as an administrator and teachers, we dealt with social distancing. So we had recommendations of what the physical aspect had to look like. So we couldn't make classrooms larger. So a lot of times we had a hybrid model where we were not bringing all students in at the same time. So that was that hybrid schedule where maybe half of the students would come in. The next day you would get a different half of students and you would rotate being live learning online and in person. Some of the other things that forced that online learning, there were recommendations that if you hit, we had to have a emergency operation plan for the pandemic, that if we hit certain thresholds of positive cases, then we had to shut the buildings down. They had to go remote. If we had to do contact tracing with positive cases, and we would have to remove and notify parents that we were removing students and they would have to quarantine. Remember, we had the 10-day quarantine and all that kind of stuff. So during that time, that's where the remote learning really came into play. If you also think about the industry and the business sector, the Zoom meetings and working remote also really came into play, and some jobs after the pandemic stayed as remote jobs where people were not physically going into a building. So after the pandemic, the Department of Ed allowed districts to have flexible instruction days. And they allow for up to 5 days per year, and they expanded that out from just a disease epidemic to hazardous weather, could be a law enforcement emergency, the inoperability of school buses or other equipment necessary for us to conduct a daily business, damage to a school building, or other temporary circumstance that would render a building or the district unfit for safe use. So again, the key word's temporary. So that FID day, 5 days out of the entire year, and it's for a temporary purpose. So over the past 5 years, we've used FID days for floods. There was 1 year in the fall, we had a flood day. We've had obviously inclement weather where the conditions weren't safe for travel. We've had severely cold weather where it wasn't safe for students to be out. And then if you recall last year, we had our bomb threats where we were able to keep the rest of the district in person, but we utilized flexible instruction, remote learning for students that were here at the high school. So as far as numbers, going back to 21-22, there were 3 days. The 22-23 school year, we had 4 days. 23-24, we had 5. We did use our 5 days up. And then 24-25 was 2 days. And last year we had 3 district-wide, and then we had 3 days 2 days that impacted just the high school, and then another day that was the high school, middle school, but that was for the bomb threats. So the alternative, if you think about a snow day, and I think of your own experience, you get that storm and you get up in the morning, there's the storm and you think there's no school, and yeah, it's a fun day. You get to go and play. In my experience, that was either tacked on at the end of the school year in June, or there was a portion of a spring break that I no longer would receive as a student. So I can tell you just my own personal experience in education that a lot of times at the end of the year, we know what the end of the year is like, not real productive always. And if you have that planned spring break and families plan for spring break, a lot of times the philosophy is those are just makeup days. So they still go on their vacation or their break. So it's give and take. I'm not saying remote learning's the best thing, and I'm not saying that the makeup days are good. And it's good that we're having this conversation. So what we had established then was based on what the Department of Ed, and this is in the board agenda. So this was the education brief that came out from the Department of Ed. And if you look in there, the average time that students were on live instruction ranged from about 3.5 to 4 hours a day. So when you think about that from the outside, I send my child to school, they go to school at 8 o'clock and they're not home until 3 o'clock. We'll just use that for easy math. So that's obviously longer than 3.5 to 4 hours. But you also have to think about there's a difference of time in school versus instruction. So just right off you get a 30-minute lunch at the elementary. They get 30 minutes of recess. So there's an hour they're at school, but it's not instruction. And then if you think about transition time, so like at the high school here, 8 periods a day, 7 transitions, 3 minutes, that's 21 minutes that they're just walking. So again, and then when we are in class, right? The teacher's talking, delivering instruction, and if it's a 45-minute class, it might be the first 20 minutes is that direct instruction that I'm teaching the lesson, I'm teaching the concept. After that, it's some release to independent work, group work, and then it becomes monitoring. So for a student, doesn't have to be on the computer minute for minute to match an in-person day and still be able to get their instruction or the objective for that day. So if that makes sense. So what we did, we came up with then FID expectations, which are on here, and we tried to cover all-inclusive, all employees, right down to exactly what people were going to do. We based some of the live instruction off of what the state released from their study of what they found were averages. And also, again, you have to take into account, if you're dealing with 5 and 6 year olds, to be able to sit and maintain and engage them on a computer screen. I can tell you my own son, I have he's a 3rd grader going into 4th grade. He'll start 4th grade, but I can tell you he loves to be on the computer and talk to and interact through the computer. And he was able to not only do his work, he was able to get his remediation. He was also able to do phys ed. He made it very clear, we all have to be quiet, and I have to do my phys ed, and he's doing his exercises in the living room. So it's kind of comical. But if you also relate to that, the real life transition. So in real life, we have online courses, online meetings. It is a life skill that I don't believe is going away. So the other thing too, with the importance of the FID day and just instruction in general, you have about 150 instructional days from the start of school to state assessments. So we all focus on the test scores. So grades 3 through 8 are going to test the Pennsylvania state assessment in ELA, English or reading. They're going to test in math, and then grades 5 and 8 will also test in science. And then at your secondary level, it's end of course. Whenever a student has Algebra 1, biology, or literature, they take that end of course assessment. So if you look online, I pulled the dates off. So for the upcoming school year, April 26th is when testing starts. So that's for the English language arts for grades 3 through 8. So that is an interruption to their day. So once state assessments start, students work on basically a delay schedule. And there really isn't any way around that. We're required to give them, they're required to take them. So that begins April 26th. The week then of May 3rd, it's mathematics, science, and then you can do any makeups. And then they allow May 10th through the 14th for mathematics, science, and any makeups as well. So that's that makeup window. And then you get to the spring Keystone exams, then conveniently start May 17th, and that window runs to May 28th. So again, it's the Algebra 1, so you rotate it through, and typically it's at least, I believe it's still broken into 2 sessions, so it takes them a couple hours. Easily, it's like a 2-hour delay schedule for students to test. So there's, again, depending on where that day would be made up, is kind of like, my opinion would be how valuable it is. So if there's the ability to make it up in person before testing, yes, that could be valuable. But a lot of times we have bad weather in April and there isn't any holidays or a way that you would make that up. So for my own philosophical viewpoint, I'll have a student do a FID day, an isolated FID day to make up work that's relevant to what they're doing without an interruption, and they're able to maintain, to me is valuable than saying, well, we're going to extend the school year 1 day. So it's something that I think we could always revisit and get feedback from families, staff members, students to see what their thoughts are on FID days. But again, remember, it's isolated and short term, and it's was designed just to be temporary. So I don't know if you have any other questions.
Oh, yeah. Did I hear you correctly when you said in a 180-day school year, we only have 150 days of instruction?
Be 150 days prior to when state assessments start. So the dates for the state assessments are provided by the state. We have no option. They give us the date and say, on this date, you start testing. So April, if we start in August, the end of August, and the state starts assessments April 26th, you have roughly about 150 instructional days out of your 180 school days.
So what's the other 30 days?
It's still instruction, but it's after the test is given. So from an instructional standpoint, teachers try to really monitor the classroom delivery of their curriculum to make sure that they're teaching the eligible content and the concepts that they're going to be tested on. And after assessment are things that are still important around the content and the curriculum, but it might not be things that are necessarily on the test, or they might go in more depth of some of the content that they're teaching.
Well, you talk to a lot of people. The word on the street is they don't do nothing after testing. To get back to the remote days, is there any data or who follows it to see if the remote learning day is as productive as an in-school all-day day? Does anybody follow it?
I'm not sure really how you would measure that for one day, because a student, like, so if a student's in school today and they're working on something and we have a remote day tomorrow, they just continue. There is no break in their learning. So if we were working on math concepts today and we do remote, we just continue. There is no break for that student. They just continue where they left off as if they were in school.
And if they have, say tomorrow they have a remote learning day,
Mm-hmm.
how many of the teachers are involved in it?
Every teacher.
Every teacher. For roughly, would you say 3.5 to 4 hours a day?
Correct. And then they are also available then afterwards, after they provide direct instruction and students are working independently, the teachers are online and available. And they still, the other portion of that, they still get a prep period because that's contractual. They also will get their lunch because that's contractual as well.
Okay, and what do they do as far as the special needs kid go?
So as far as like occupational therapy and various services like that, they log on with the student.
So they have them on the computer.
And they work one-on-one. Typically, it's one-on-one with them.
Just like they would if they were in school.
Correct? Yes. Yes, that's correct. And then as far as CTC, it's actually a good time for them to be able to do some of the bookwork, coursework that they're required to do anyway. So during those days, that's what their priority becomes, because obviously they can't be doing the hands-on learning. But if they were in person, if let's say we had perfect weather and didn't have a FID day, even a CTC student at some point is not going to be able to go into the shop to do their hands-on. They're going to be doing bookwork and coursework. So those instructors plan that for those FID days to be able to take advantage of doing that type of work.
Okay, so in your personal opinion, on a remote learning day, we're giving the kids all the education we can. We're not shortchanging them.
I don't believe we're shortchanging them. I think that we can always look to improve it. And again, I have my own son, and I've been at home on remote days, and I see what he does. So again, there's all sorts of various ways to look at that as well. You know, you can look at it if there was inclement weather on a Friday and a Monday, and you do on a traditional without a FID day, a flexible instruction day, you now go a 4-day stretch with a student not doing anything, and then they come back to school on a Tuesday and have to try to pick up and remember what they were doing the previous Thursday. So when you're doing the flexible instruction, it's seamless of I'm still continuing in the course, progressing with what I was doing the previous day. So there's advantages to it. I'm not saying it's perfect, but I don't feel like it's detrimental or ripping students off.
Yeah. For the record, my own opinion, I think we need to go back to snow makeup days. I know there's things like bomb threats and stuff. We still have to make the days up. I am not for the remote learning.
No, I can respect that. And it's not for every student. And again, it depends on the student. There's some students that really enjoy it because I get my direct instruction and then I'm turned loose on my own to finish up my work and they can get their work finished. And there are other students that need constant supervision. So there's all sorts of, I'm not saying it's anything perfect. You have some valid concerns, but as far as it being detrimental or a student not getting a quality education, as isolated as it is, I believe it does not hinder students' education.
So what about the younger kids that don't take their computers home?
Yeah.
What do they do with them?
So we had that happen last year, John. It was an unexpected snowstorm and school was closed. We did a snow day. So what we try to do is, we try to monitor because we're so geographically, we're the largest in the state. And so we try to be proactive when we have those weather briefings and they're saying it's going to get bad. We have we notify the schools and we notify the parents and we send the computers home that in the event that we need to cancel school, that they can just go to a remote day. And we only had one, in the last 5 years, we only had one time that the weather surprised us. It was not to be bad, and it turned out to be like a lot of ice on top of snow. And so we ended up having a traditional snow day.
All right, let somebody else have a turn.
I'll go next.
Jason?
Obviously, IT, I've done a lot of courses online. I guess my question is more of what would be the teacher's feedback on this? Because I imagine you have some courses that translate very well to online and you have some courses that don't, and et cetera, topics, material. So, and it comes down to also teaching styles as well. Mm-hmm. So is there a way to ask the teachers, like, is this something that you feel is effective as a teacher? Or is this something that, it just utterly kind of confounds you because of just the nature of what you're teaching?
Yeah, I think that's a very valid question. And I think since COVID, 5 years in after, I think that's some good data to collect. I would only be speculating on what they would say.
Okay.
That was interesting.
Justin?
That I just asked Dr. Lundquist. That was a great question. As far as I know, they've never been asked.
As far as a survey, I'm not aware of one that was taken.
I'm not sure. There could have been.
Well, that's something to think about. An outcome assessment.
This is still really, really new, and it's going to be new for a while. Justin, so as a board member or anybody, what would be your advice on how I could learn more about, or just kind of get up to speed, particularly with Keystone Central and where we are with thoughts and more about what we're doing, but also maybe what we're thinking about doing. I mean, we're not going to be attending in-services, but in this system itself, where can a board member become more informed about this? Not that we want to be there making decisions about it. It may come to us to make a decision. So being informed is pretty helpful. Is there a person or a committee or something like that we would be able to spend some more time.
I think probably the easiest thing would be to, I mean, ultimately would be to have a teacher deliver some instruction and show you like what resources and what that looks like for a student to really understand it. Because like my own son, he has his schedule and he still had like phys ed, he had his math, he had his reading, and then break for lunch, get back on at this time. So it does require an adult, but he was, again, a 9-year-old that was highly self-sufficient, telling the rest of us we have to be quiet. And then he also got his intervention. So the teacher got on and, hey, read this passage to me. And they would still do just what they were doing if they were sitting at a table across from one another. So a lot of that instruction, and when you were in the classroom and you think about like your small group instruction, so the rest of the kids were doing something independent and the teachers still model that, but they're using the computer through like Zoom or Google Classroom. So I need these 5 students and here's the passage we're reading together. So you're still doing that. It's just they're sitting on the computer screen instead of sitting at the kidney-shaped table with you. That's the easiest way I can put that. And then the rest of the kids are some of those other online resources and things that we subscribe to that are part of the curriculum. They're picking, just like they would in a classroom, you either need to do A, B, or C at this point. And then I can work with these students. And if I need to work with another student, then I can pull them in. And the kids are actually very, very tech savvy as far as manipulating their screens, unmuting, muting, raising their hand. Like it works.
It's our world.
Yes, and they understand that.
Better than the older teachers.
I can only imagine being a mom or a dad at home with 3 kids at different grade levels and 3 computers sitting there and 3 different teachers talking to my kids and trying to keep an eye on all 3 of them.
And that's one of
If they're
the,
home.
Whoa, baby.
yeah, and that's one of the,
Maybe not
because like,
at
so
all.
myself, so at one point I had my 2 older children, both here in school, so we had a remote day. My wife works for the district, so there's 4 of us trying to be online in different areas, in meetings or having instruction. So again, as I said, it's not a perfect setup, but for a one day, it's,
Yeah.
He's got it made because he's got a couple of kids in phys ed class, go out and shovel the driveway. That's how that works.
Yeah.
So maybe
Good
there's,
luck.
Yeah.
yeah, so I guess, to answer your question, like we could at some point, I don't know if it's through curriculum council or something, or the curriculum committee have someone demonstrate like, here's how we utilize some of these resources. This is what a remote day would look like for a student in my classroom. And then, we could always look for some data or push out for some data.
I'm wondering, as you're saying that, Justin, that PSBA probably would be a good place for us to go. Because we're not the only ones with this issue. They may have research or best practices and things like that we could look at.
Well, definitely.
That would be helpful.
Ironically, my doctoral dissertation was on the student perceptions utilizing video conferencing technologies for instruction.
Yeah.
And it varies. The research shows, and it depends on the learning style, which I could throw back to everybody here of the student. Some students thrive with it because they're focused that way. Some students will have difficulty with it because they're not that type of learner. So they may need a little bit more direct instruction by an instructor, whatever, and the teachers do a very good job, and they can see who's really paying attention. That's the crazy part of this, that, who's actively engaged in the process of that instruction during the course of the day. So you may hear from some parents, well, my son or daughter don't do well with this. Well, that's because they may be a different type of learner, so we're not going to hit everybody. So it's not a fix all, but it's a good replacement for, what we have at that time. So it's the research is very, very interesting on it all. But overall, it is effective. It is truly effective. And the more research you're doing with the younger learners, like he said, they'll put us to shame with doing stuff because that's their world. And it's hard for us to understand their world through our eyes, because we didn't learn that way. We're still thinking about the way we learned. All right, so, and Christine definitely knows because she's working with somebody that learned the old way. So I have a lot of paper in front of me and a lot of information that she supplied me, But somebody else, this guy right here, he walks around with his laptop all day and that's his world.
Yeah.
That's how he gets everything. So, and we have to be very cognizant of that, that's all. Things are changing and cost effective wise, there's pros and cons, depends how you look at it, I haven't even asked Joni, like busing wise, on our contract, if we don't transport that day, do we still pay the bus company? If we don't, if we have a FID day. So those are the types of things that,
It's part of a big contract.
I'm
Right.
sorry, what did you say, Joni? Sorry, what?
It's part of a big contract.
Yes.
So please clarify. So if we have an alternate learning day, we're still paying for transportation?
Go ahead, Joni.
So what they do is they take a monthly, transporting the kids, and they do like a monthly average for the kid, and that's how they bill us. So we don't per se pay for every day, but they take an average of how often a child rides the bus to be subsidized for that child.
Okay.
So it's part of the state formula.
Yeah, okay,
So it averages out.
It does.
okay,
It does.
fair enough, reasonable. I mean, it is.
But when it first started back, I remember it was with bus companies, they were very insistent that it's 180, if it's 180 days, we get paid for 180 days, But they've since changed the formula that way. Yep,
Well, that's encouraging.
yeah.
Wow, someone's adapting.
Yeah.
Over the last 5 years, what would you say the average number of times you have to do this?
There was a 3, there was.
Yeah, so this past school year, we had 3 days.
Does that
Um,
include the bomb threat days?
No, so 3 days district-wide.
That's a curve.
And then, yeah, so if you limit, then 3 days district-wide last year, the bomb threat was,
That doesn't count.
it was 3 days, but it only impacted the high school 2 days and the high school, middle school 3 days. So 3 days, and then if I go backwards from the previous year, 2 days, 23, 24 was the only time we used all 5. And then we had 4 days, 3 days, and 21, 22. So, you Central PA, you might as well count on 2 to 3 days. And if you get anything severe, like April blizzard, a lot of times then the state forgives those days or state of emergency anyway.
I mean, my point, the
It's,
reason I asked the questions, obviously, we have to satisfy the state requirements. We gotta have, what is it, 180 days?
180 days or so many minutes.
Period, okay? This is a way to do that. The reality is, we're only looking at a handful of days
Correct.
that's gonna infect anybody.
Mhm.
And I agree with
It's
you.
typically
If
isolated.
you use the old fashioned system and tack days on or take days away from spring break, I don't remember us paying a lot of attention, and, the one thing that our school district did, I remember, was they always built in snow days. And then if you didn't use them, if you had an easy winter, you either got more spring vacation, or if it was late enough,
Correct.
or you finish school 2 or 3 days early or whatever, so.
And we historically in the past did do that, like the week of Easter, it was a spring break, and then you would take days off of that. But I can tell you, like as a building principal, during those days, if we took those days, if we had to use them for snow makeup days, families still, if they were going out of town, they were still going out of town, and they would say, those were just makeup days. Like that's the way it was looked at.
Right.
There's also minute calculations. Some districts tack on so many minutes, like 5 minutes on a day for the remainder of the year to account. So they don't do a true 180 days, but they meet the minute. But then we have to watch for CTC because they have different requirements. So again, there's options there, and you can go back to a traditional spring break and snow makeup, but I don't know that if someone asked me, is that the best for instruction? It just depends on when you're making the day up. If you're trying to get as much instruction in before testing, then tacking it on to the end doesn't really do anything.
I just want like a quick summary here. This was very informative. Thank you, John, for bringing this up to put it on the agenda. I've learned a lot. Good job, Justin.
Thank you.
I was just thinking, if this remote learning is as great as what they want to make it sound, we do that every day. Look what we're saving on electricity and water and busing all together.
That's why some of the cyber schools are multi-million-dollar businesses. They don't have an infrastructure.
So I think the real interesting point, the critical point is they can't go over 5 days. Okay,
Correct.
that's huge. That I did not know. But I would be really interested, Justin, if you want to work with Dr. Lemokonis and whomever, I would love to hear some teachers' feedback on this. What's working? What doesn't work? How can we improve it? I think that would really be a voice that I think the board would like to hear the final outcome of that. Does that sound good?
That'd be fine. Just give us some time. Like, let's
Well, that's
get
fine.
school started.
You know,
I would like to hear a survey, what they say.
Sure, but like I said, it'll be,
yeah.
after the first semester or something,
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay,
let's get school started.
yes. Okay, anything
Good.
else? Board? Okay, thank you very
Thank
much,
you.
Justin. Have a lovely evening. We have the hearing of visitors. Do we have anyone signed up, Christie? No hearing of visitors. Thank you very much. We have Dr. Lemokonis' report. You have a floor, sir.
Okay, I'll try to make it brief. All right, first of all, I just say hats off to our custodial staff and cleaning staff across the district. I've been in a fair amount of the buildings, saw what they were doing. If you saw our halls out here in our classroom space, I mean, it's fantastic. Again, that's something dear to my heart. I like to see the buildings being prepped and done well, and I can really tell your staff takes pride in their work. All right, what they do. So hats off to them. I really appreciate the things that they're doing all across. All right, obviously we're preparing for the start of the school year. All right, welcoming new students, returning students, staff, et cetera. Obviously, it's right around the corner. August 8th, they're starting up at Bucktail with the new Bucktail orientation, and it goes all the way through the 24th, with all the different buildings. On your calendars, you have the list, so if you want to take a chance and hit some of those, you'll see what's going on and seeing the process, et cetera. So looking forward to seeing all that happen. Just want to know, I approved, and I talked to Nick and his staff, a new program called Encourage. It's a service that allows our students to participate in free college and career planning program for grades 8 through 12. We're going to start it this year at the high school, see how it goes. What really caught my eye was the fact that they take a look at your population and they try to help students, and they target populations, and their percentages show that 12.7% of first generation students participated. They helped them get involved. 12.7%.
That's great.
Which is a pretty good percentage. 19, almost 20% are pursuing career and technical schools and things in those areas. And then 27.8% interested in careers in health and medicine. So they are trying to direct students in those areas. What they do is they sit down, they give set measurable post-secondary goals based on a personalized district level outcome. It falls in line with our Future Ready guidance, if you've heard that, for our students, all right? The nice part about it is universities locally that are involved in it are Lock Haven, Lycoming, Bucknell, Penn State, Susquehanna. So universities our students locally are looking at. And then there's others, across North Carolina, Baylor, Notre Dame, et cetera. So it's a good program. We're going to monitor it this year. So I thank Nick and his staff for helping me with that and getting that started. Okay. Let's see, looking at obviously, opening day, all right, for our staff members, so helping them, doing some things, and we're still working out details and trying to figure out how that works, with the gap in personnel. And I'm thanking this gentleman because he's picking up a lot of load for me, as we're doing this. But our staff, obviously August 20th, 21st and 24th. So if you're around, you want to see what's going on, come into the buildings and see what's going on.
We've never been
you know.
invited before.
Well, you're invited now, so if you want to come,
Let us
you'll see.
know how
We'll
we'd
give you
like-
timeframes, the speakers that we have and stuff like that, so that you can see, obviously, what's going on. All right, going into also our community connections through, the Clinton County Economic Partnerships, different things I'm getting involved with. Christine's helping me, again, making some of those reconnections that I had before in the past and the new connections. Because again, this is our community, our educational community, but also our community and I'm gonna keep pounding this idea, we gotta show the positive things we're doing. We can't keep dealt, with the negative, because there's so many great things
There
going
is,
on.
there really is.
And like I said, I met another parent, they saw my tag and they said, "Who are you?" And then, I explained to them, I'm the interim, yeah, you're not from around here, right? And we get into the conversations and it's like, well, what do you think of the school district? And he's like, well, my children went through and they did well. They came here, they graduated, they went to college, they went to a trade school, so, and you're always gonna get the people that didn't have a good experience, but then when I run into those, I ask them why, what was it? What can we do? So that's all we can do to try to better ourselves. But overwhelmingly, I keep hearing positive things about our district. All right. All right. So just keep that in mind as you're approached by people that are always negative, that there's a lot of positive going on. Okay. Let's see. Obviously, we're going to continue to focus on student success, the profile of a learner behind you there, and you talk about mission statements, you talk about things. That's one of the messages I'm going to keep trying to push that, this is what we're saying, so let's do it. Make sure we're keeping that in the forefront. And I may still put that sign in the back there for you.
The target?
How does this decision affect our students? When you're making your decisions, I want you thinking about that. All right? Not Joe Scoop Chevaleski on the corner that's complaining about stuff, but how does that decision affect our students? Is it positive or negative? And it's going to benefit. All right. So you may see that come up sometime.
Sure it will.
All right. So we're focusing on preparing our students, obviously, with skills and the confidence, et cetera, getting ready for the real world. Going back, and I know I talked about this before, but Sam, said that the savings program out at Liberty Current, we saved $31,000. All right, electrical savings and stuff because of adjustments and things that they have done. And we're looking at doing that across, the school district or the building. So, you have a staff that's working hard. They get it. They get the message. They know, what the focus. So give them time. Also, I had an opportunity, to go up to Renova, about the bushes that were, mistakenly cut down. All right, two sides of that. The one was a memorial to a young lady that passed away. I spoke with the mother. She was very understanding. I apologize on behalf of the district, that, as I explained to the board, when you have institutional change and new people coming in, you lose that history of what was what. And it's a good situation, a good example of what has happened. That, we have new people coming in, new administrators. They don't know a lot of that history. If it's not outlined, if it's not down, we missed it. So I apologized to her. I told her how sorry we were for it, that it was a mistake. And that's the first thing she said. It's a mistake. It happens, And she was a great. She said, tell them, don't worry. Tell that gentleman, not to lose sleep over it, everything else. I told her we're going to make it right. I asked her if her and her husband would like to find another, plant or a bush or whatever, they could choose it. Will we plant it? We'll do a ceremony in the fall. We'll get a plaque to make sure that people know that this is a memorial, and she was great about it. She was wonderful. I couldn't ask for a better, dialogue with somebody like that. And she understood. Apologize to the class of 65 for the rhododendron, unfortunately. But again, we were advised and districts across the state, everybody else, unfortunately, with the shooters and all the things like that became a possible area of contention, that somebody could hide there and be there. And again, not knowing that they were dedicated by that class. you know, so you lose some of that institutional history sometimes, and that's unfortunate. So we'll be taking a look at what can we replant there that would meet the criteria, you know, still be beautiful, but unfortunately, it just won't be the same thing. So took a look at it. You know, we'll try to make it as right as possible and move forward. Okay, so those types of things. As far as board members,
Uh-oh.
I have Elizabeth, I have John, I have Shelby, I have Roger, I have Manny and Rich that still need to finish their PSBA training.
I started, I did. I have a record of me starting.
Well, starting and finishing are two different things, so.
I'm noting right now.
That's my assignment to you. Make sure we get that done.
We need rain.
Okay?
A rain day, I will.
A rain
get it
day,
done.
well.
Rain day.
If our students told us that, all right? So anyway, Joni and I also met with Audrey Bear from Piper Sandler because I wanted to get a feel
Do the
for
woodshed.
your debt service and the things that you have, you know, going. Obviously, there's not a real opportunity to refinance or anything. Actually, you got a pretty good rate on one of yours, a little bit higher rate on the others, but you know, that's going to take a long time. I do have a copy she brought with me, or with her. If anybody wants a copy of just its information about your debt service and stuff, let me know and we'll make sure whoever needs one, we'll make sure that you get copies and send it to them. Okay? And just for future reference, and I don't know, Nick, you can answer this. The shot clocks that will be coming, do we have them in the gym now?
The shop?
Shot clocks.
Oh,
There, no shot clocks. We're gonna avoid that if at all possible. May have a little competitive advantage for us if we do put that in,
Maybe
but
taller.
no, yeah, we're going with just shot clocks. They have been ordered. I talked to Dave. That is something that the PIAA is mandated that puts in place.
Good.
Just kind of as a reference though, the other thing that does though is that adds an additional personnel now that you need at these games to man these clocks. And it's something that it's from a competitive nature. So you have to have these people trained. It's not like you could just pull some kids to possibly do that because it's almost like an additional official at the game and you need to know when to start the clock. If two people touch it at the same time, and I won't get into all the ins and outs on that, but it certainly is something that we've been looking at. Dave and I have talked about. They're ordered, they're on their way. It's just a matter of we got to try to make sure we can get the people in there to run it appropriately.
And we don't need them until 28, correct?
That's correct.
All right, so I just
Yes.
want to make sure, because I know there's a cost associated with that. I want to
Yeah.
make sure it was budgeted and
Yep.
stuff, so.
Dave already has that in his budget.
is this just for football or is it soccer? or-
Basketball.
No, it's basketball,
basketball.
indoor. Yep.
Okay, okay,
Basketball shot clock.
okay.
No, all right, thanks, Nick, I appreciate it. And just to have PSBA training too, Christina, will also look if there's any physical places you can go for the training instead of doing that. She, you know, if anybody's interested in that, she, you know, let her know. Okay, so that's pretty much it. We're still working hard at, you know, making sure we're the start of school. Well, there's a lot going on, within the next, what I would like to request from the board in the next like 4 weeks or 5 weeks until school, if you could just back off a little bit with some of the requests and things for us, because
Crunch time.
it's crunch time, you know, and we need that time to get, you know, things prepared. So if you may think it's a 5 or 10 minute lookup, it turns into, like we had today, about an hour and a half, you know, working on certain things, and you start pulling those together, and then it just creates a little bit of things. So save all your good stuff. We're not saying don't, but just save it for a little bit to let us get our focuses on the school start, and then we'll go from there. Okay?
Well, I got one question before we put our brakes on.
Yes, sir.
With by now they know the enrollment that we have for 26, 27. I don't necessarily want to call it a staffing study, but are we looking anywhere into that as far as how many teachers we have with the enrollment we got coming in?
Yes, sir, we are. We
Thank you.
actually did not replace 2 positions as a result of that.
All righty, thank you.
You're welcome. But the other
Larger.
larger thing will be coming. Again,
after
One of
school.
those things.
Yeah, sounds
Give us time.
reasonable, right?
Okay, thank you.
All right, very good. Okay, our committee meetings, please. Curriculum, Manny, Chair Manny, you have the floor. Any highlights or anything you want to show us?
Yep. So the meeting was July 20th, started at 5:30. Some things we went over was the 5-year PSSA Keystone data document. They just reviewed the assessment data and discussed trends over the past several years. We talked about the middle school science resources, and possibly purchasing them, the science programs with the print-only textbooks on there, with the 1-year online subscription for the digital worksheets and instructional resources that the teachers would need to have as tools for the students. The curriculum director position update, the acting superintendent explained that due to the current budget and staffing constraints, he was recommending a restructuring of existing administrative responsibilities rather than creating a new curriculum director position. So that's something that we talked about. And of course, everything's on YouTube, so people can go back and look at that. Technology, we talked about the laptop carts and the Chromebook initiative. And that was about it. The next meeting is going to be the 17th at 6 p.m. So,
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Chair Manny. Any questions or comments for Manny? Okay, thank you. Next one, Finance Committee, Chair, Chris, please, highlights.
We met on July 28th. We had a very productive meeting, I felt, anyway, for those that were here. Joni and her crew and her department did a bunch of work on copy machines and how to reduce the budget with copy machines. And I'm proud to say that they're going to delete a bunch of copy machines that aren't needed. Right now, the annual the lease payments a month are $2,563.71, and through how she's working it and everything, is going to reduce the monthly cost down to $1,677.14, which is going to save $886.57 a month. Which is going to save $10,638.84 annually. And over the 5-year lease term that they have from the copiers from years prior and everything else, over 5 years, it's going to save $53,194.20. So it's another just a couple dollars in the bucket. Joni and them did fantastic. Christy and that whole department. Congrats to you folks, and thanks for the work you're putting in it. We went over the new building and department budgets and how they're laid out, and they're moving forward with that. The board members and public can see it when we have them up at the finance meetings. Each department has a budget. Each building has a budget. We know now where funds are going and how they're being used, and Joni and Christy and them are tweaking it. We went over interest earnings and energy cost and all kinds of things. So I felt it was a very productive meeting. Anybody have any questions? We'll be glad to answer.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much, Chair Chris. Personnel Committee, Chair Chris, please.
We went over existing positions, open positions, what's being looked at, where we're headed with different departments, and Dr. Laconis is looking into a lot of things, and we're tweaking and doing things as needed. We decided there's a couple positions
with special ed that we have to have.
Yes.
And we've tweaked how we're getting them and who we're doing and what we're doing and doing the best that they can to make everything come together.
Any questions for? Thank you very much. Policy Committee. Chair Chris. Excuse me.
With policy committee, we went over a couple of different policies, different ways of hiring people, creating positions. We're cleaning up old policies. We tabled a couple till we could get solicitor and PSBA input. And that was really it.
Oh, that's a lot. Thank you. Any questions? Thank you. Safety and Security Committee. Chair Manning.
Yeah, the meeting was held July 9th at 5:30. Just a quick overview. We met the officers there. I was able to meet the officers since I wasn't there for their interviews, and it was good seeing them. We got an update on their training schedule. Some of the officers going out for classes in August. So that's good, kind of getting them up to speed here for the school year that's starting. The Verkada update, as you guys saw coming in and stuff, there's a whole new little panel on the wall there with the camera and everything. The camera's going up in the hallways. So it's good seeing that all getting done. And ready for training, hopefully starting mid-August, I think they said, to get the officers and everybody trained up. And just a quick discussion on some of the officers' tools, trying to replace, I believe, their firearms, which is still in the works. So we're still discussing that. But yeah, that's it.
That's great. Well, thank you so
I
much.
got a question.
Mm-hmm.
What's the latest on the ricotta and the parts for the doors we discussed? Are we buying all new doors?
Right now, it's not Ricotta, what was the name of it? Okay. Yes. Lantec, who is the subcontractor for them. They do have some of the parts, they believe, for our doors. They're also researching what they're going to need for the others, so it's still gonna come down to there will be cost associated with that. My concern is whether or not some of the doors are gonna be operable for the start of school. So we're pushing that. I will be calling the head of, Ricotta. Yeah, whatever, one of them. All right, I'm learning all these names, but to push the envelope a little bit to get this as a priority, because there was some miscommunication as far as what was going to happen, and we did review the contract with some of that. And again, people coming in at different times, there was some crossover there, so we're working through it, John, and but there is gonna be some cost for the district as a result of it.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
One other thing I want to add,
Yes, please.
the board members need to get with Justin and get your IDs. Rich got his. Make an appointment with Justin. It takes 5 minutes. You need your picture IDs. Everybody that comes in and out of the buildings needs to have them.
No, that's very important. It is. Thank you for the reminder, Chris.
They make you smile.
Action item 5F
They make you smile.
and 5G. Again, Christine does a really, I think, bang up job on our minutes. She emails them out for edits, comments, and you didn't get anything, so, except for that. Any questions or anything else you want to add before we move on? Okay, thank you so much. 6A, Treasurer's Report. Is there any, again, we have a wonderful attachment, very easy to understand. It has the percentages on there. Is there any questions or concerns or any highlights from the business office? Okay, thank you. Financial reports. Is there any questions, concerns, highlights? No, thank you. The enrollment report. Anything else that we should know about, or is there any
I
questions?
see we're down a small handful of students again, so.
That's the trend.
And just to let you know too, again, exact terminology that you use here, but the request for students to go to different schools.
Mhm.
All right, we're full. So if any parents are coming to you and asking about why their student can't go from one elementary to another because that elementary is filling up.
It's full.
All right, so we don't want to obviously create a situation where we're too large in one area and not in another.
So they're all
They're pretty much.
right where they are should be.
Yep,
That's
okay,
great.
just so you know.
Thank you. Did
Yep.
not know that. Thank you. The tax EIT TCC finance reports from Berkheimer. I think they're I find their reports very, very easy to understand and read. Is there any comments or questions? I think they've done a good job. Okay, thank you very much. This one, 6E, administrative regulations and policies, 328, AR 0 and 1. Is there, I'm not sure why this is on the agenda, but is there any updates or policy committee?
I thought we were still working on 328 and policy committee.
That's what I thought too.
The
so-
ARs, I thought we moved.
Well, I don't remember. I'd have to go back.
Okay, well, we don't approve them, but they're informational only,
Right, they're
Oh,
through the
but-
superintendent. That's his.
Yeah,
so,
yeah, I will, like I said, I'm not sure.
yeah,
To tell you the truth, I'm not, that's my mistake. I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
because we don't approve.
I thought we just wanted them on so the board could.
Could
yeah,
see
just
them,
informational.
Yeah.
Okay.
But if we change our policy or edit it in a different way, they'll just have to follow the
Update
lead.
to it. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, because I know Christina and I have been talking to people at PSBA and one of the things there too, because I know the discussion, now it's coming, the discussion that we were having, I think the first meeting I was here about the ARs and looking at is that when you come to policy, you gotta be very careful you don't make it too specific because then you can paint yourself into a corner when you're dealing with some of these things. So
Mhm.
PSBA does have that. So when we're looking at ARs for specific board policies, my suggestion would be to look at what PSBA already has,
Yes.
just like you do with your own policies.
Mhm.
And then if we have to tweak a little bit based on what we do here,
Mhm.
that's what we do versus us writing our own ARs and trying to make it fit.
That's
Okay, So-
for consistency across school
Mhm.
districts. I
Right.
really like that.
yeah. So
That's
just, that was part of the rationale.
Good.
It's in there, it just sometimes rattles around, so.
It's like I'm inventing coffee.
Yeah, there you go.
6F, these are those science books for the Central Mountain Middle School that went through the curriculum committee. Is there any questions, concerns?
I have two
Please,
questions.
Chair, Chris, Chair.
This says it's science books for Central Mountain Middle School. Is that also encompassing Renova? Are they doing the same exact program?
That's a good question.
Cause they should be. They should all be doing the same exact
Uh-huh.
stuff.
Justin, would you be able to, I don't know, that's a good question, I don't know. That's a very good question, we'll find out.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the
again,
other,
Here's,
go ahead.
not to hit that subject, the curriculum director, but there's another good reason why you need somebody directing that,
Mhm.
to be able to stay on top of stuff like that. So
This-
just an editorial comment, that's all.
The other question that I had on it was if you look at the contract, the programs we're talking about buying and the books are from 2019.
Yeah, Elizabeth brought that up earlier.
Is there anything newer?
There is.
Well, there is some newer, but it doesn't fit what
Mhm.
we're looking for. And that happens a lot of times, Chris, like,
Okay.
when we're trying to align our curriculum and our instruction and everything, some of the new stuff that some of these publishers are putting out don't align.
Okay.
So when the instructors and people were looking at that, they were looking at things that are closely aligned to what we do.
All right.
Okay, so there'll be brand new books, but the content and those focus areas will be more aligned to,
It just seems bizarre.
yeah,
It doesn't, it's
That
illogical.
just seems really
It does.
weird.
I know.
It's
I
how
And
know.
that's
great
why,
they
that's
are
why
in
it
your
caught
books.
my eye on it.
Yeah.
No, they said.
No, I understand,
Been
I
doing stuff.
understand.
It'll work.
Yeah.
What's the average life of a textbook in use? Not how often they publish.
We used to do a 7-year rotation. That's what we used to
A
try to
book
do.
with a physical book. You give it to a kid, 7 years later, a kid's gonna be using the same book?
Well, if it's taken care of, and, you know, normal wear and tear, you know, if they're good about it. And again, it goes back to how it's taken care of by the student, you know, and then obviously you'll have replacement things, you know, usually a lot of times you'll buy extra. You don't buy just, well, if you need 300, you buy 330 or 340 because you know that they're going to get damaged, you know. And again, I'll have to defer to principals and stuff like, if we give out textbooks, are they mandatory to be covered and things like that, you know, versus just being walking around, you know, so like I said, in a normal curriculum rotation, in most districts, it's 5 to 7 year rotation.
I remember when we had our books in school, we used to cover them with brown paper
Oh, yeah, you
bags.
had to
Yep.
cover 'em, you know.
Yep, had to cover them.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Most of us use brown paper bags, which you don't get anymore at the supermarket.
Exactly.
Pay extra, you have to pay extra for those.
Yeah.
So,
Well, what are you, principals, what are you guys seeing with the books? Like, what have you guys noticed?
Manny, I would say from a high school standpoint, we really don't buy textbooks that much anymore. A lot of
Fair
it is online curriculum. A lot of it is teacher-driven curriculum. They're posting it on our network, on Schoology. They're trying to bring in supplemental accessories that way. It's not mainly just a textbook. We do have some courses that have those. You're probably looking at about 5-6 year turnaround on something like that. But it's, I don't want to say a thing of the past. I'll just say we're evolving a little bit to where we're not probably as reliant on an actual textbook as we were in the past.
Okay.
no comment from
I,
the
uh,
elementary.
It's not what we're talking about, but I want to make a comment on that. I'm not sure that's a good thing. I would like to see us go back to more printed things.
We're looking at some of the research right now.
Yeah.
Actually, I read a research article where Sweden, who is usually one of the leaders in international testing and achievement, is actually backing off the technology and going to paper and pencil and textbooks again because they're seeing a drop off.
I'm sure you people are gonna have better access to the good data. But the stuff that's I have access to in the general public, just about everything I've read suggests that you're still better off with printed stuff than you are with even the kids with experienced computer users and things. So I that's one of my pet peeves. I'd like to see us go back to more of that.
Yeah, and again, that pendulum swings back and forth over the years and again, as the research will start coming out, we'll get a better idea on that. So the biggest thing with a lot of stuff is no knee-jerk reactions. That's, you know, you don't want to, and my prime example is with technology classes at the middle school levels. A lot of districts took out all their shop materials. They took out all their lathes and saws and LS to bring in these
Not here.
little, I know, but they did that. And then all of a sudden they realized that they were missing a big piece, you know? So,
I'm glad we had shop.
yeah. Yes, so,
But I want to make it clear, I'm not saying we shouldn't deal with the technology and the computer stuff too. It's obviously, they're gonna have to know that it's a world we live in, but just because it's old doesn't make it bad. And I think we should be working on that.
I think you bring up a good point, Bill. I think where you have to find is that happy median somewhere where we're trying to get our kids prepared for what is out there in the world. And, you know, like Dr. Lankana said, that pendulum does always swing back around. So we got to make sure that we have that happy medium of both, where we're having our kids prepared with the text, and you're also able to have a kid go and find text or research something on a computer. Because some kids just learn better when it's sitting in front of them and they can read it. So I think it's a happy medium, but it's a good point you bring up.
Chris, please.
Nick, I would ask, like, we're saying it goes both ways. I totally agree with that.
I would invite you to come into some of the student council meetings we had, like the big one we had here. A lot of the seniors and juniors were like, please bring back some books because they get more out of a book than they do sitting at a computer. They said they can't concentrate staring at a screen.
We talked to, also our student government was a great group that
Oh, yeah.
we've had a conversation with them, really talked to about where they are, what they're looking at moving forward, what works best for them. It does come down to individual learners sometimes. Some of them are
Yeah.
just better one way than the other. But I think what we need to do is provide as many options as possible to meet as many of those learners. So
agree.
also another good point. But yeah, we're talking to our student council, our student government. They're really starting to become an active part in where we're moving and how we're moving. So they're part of their own education.
Absolutely. Those kids are great.
And that's a big thing on the profile of a learner, where they are an active part
Right.
of what they're doing moving forward. And we're starting to see that now, which is nice.
Yeah, I think that was the group that we were talking
Yeah.
Yes.
to.
It was,
And
Yeah.
they, you know,
Oh, we need
they
to-
were pretty clear. They said they preferred the printed things to the computer and, you know,
Mhm.
and interestingly enough, I should have sent it to everybody. I'll dig it out maybe and share it. I got an email from a friend of mine who was a retired teacher. And she was a retired high school English teacher that, and by her choice, she usually took the lowest because she was willing to give them the time, you know, and just, anyway, her granddaughter, who's now going into the 5th grade, who's my friend's son, the father of this young lady, is a Mac genius, so that she's not lacking for exposure to technical things. She says they're doing too much on the computer and it's too easy for the kids to manipulate things and basically cheat. Okay, and I thought, this is interesting. Not whatever she is, 9, 10 years old, going into the 5th grade, but I thought something to be aware of.
Thank you. Jason, sorry, I missed, thank you.
Well, I'll just make a small comment.
No,
To me, it
please.
always came down to the content. Like I could tell you I loved a math book, but yet all my IT knowledge, I don't want to say it was Wikipedia, but it was all publicly available. And when it came to knowing network protocols, et cetera. So to me, there was always that kind of happy blend of some things, my mind, I had to write it down. And when it came to math formulas, et cetera, I had to do it on pen and paper. I'm kind of amendable to like that happy medium. I think there are some curriculums that it really comes down to doing it by hand, reading it in a book. And then there's some that translate very well to online curriculum. And that's where I was at. So
It's a tool. It's just another tool.
I was waiting, I knew you'd go ahead.
We knew
Yeah.
this was coming.
Yeah.
It looks like, I just took a quick look at it, and kudos to the people that have taken the time to select this, because there's some new stuff in it that I'm curious to see this myself. 3D experiences. So this takes it takes it to another level, but it has room in there for a lot of room for differentiation, which you were just talking about. But how, like, it's just a question that, can we maybe find a way to put something together that folks could see this? Not to say, well, did we get it right or not, but just to see what this looks like, because it looks very interesting. And if our kids are going to be involved in it, I'll just check the efficacy of it. And there's a lot of points that are very good about engaging kids and kids getting excited. And it has something to do with quests. And that's something that, as an elementary teacher, really turns my mind on, because that's all these geocaching, that stuff, but really getting into the stream and finding the things that are in there. But it looks like a very good program, and one that we, as you're saying, Alan, we want to celebrate the positives. This is one of those things. Yes, we start this year, we got this coming. Let's understand it
Right,
and not be afraid of it. Yeah, it's not new math,
right.
but it's a new way of doing science. And, the only thing it says moderate is, while the digital platform is feature rich, managing full lab kits and digital components can impose high prep time on educators. And that would be one of the things I'd be concerned about is what kind of room are we giving educators to prepare for this? Because many times in my past, we had things dropped on us, but the prep time wasn't there. SAP of science and all that kind of jazz. But we are asking quite a bit of our folks already. And Nick, you guys have to figure out how to make that time available for them. So if this is very, very valuable, how are we going to accommodate? That would be the thing that I'd be looking for, that, so we give it the biggest chance of being successful. So that our kids, this is getting to like where they can become inventive and curious and that kind of jazz, so.
Yeah, and part of that, and I know this is late in the game to be approving textbooks, you know. Because normally you would try to get that done at the end of last year to get it, so they had it in their hands, so they could do some of that exploration during the summer trip. So the sooner that we can get them into the hands of the teachers, the better off we're gonna be.
Yeah, this is exciting.
Yeah, it was teacher driven.
Love it.
Okay, anything else? No, I'm just gonna summarize. So is it reasonable by the voting session, you can let us know whether or not the Renova campus and the Central Mountain Middle campus are gonna get,
We'll find out tomorrow.
okay, well, then when, during the vote, we can update everyone, because that would be ideal, that everyone is,
On the same page.
Right.
yes, and being
Right.
given the same resources. Good, thank you very much. Action item 7A, the Liberty Curtain Therapy Dog. Dr. Lonaconis, did you want to say anything?
Yeah, just
about
a request to table that, basically for informational purposes and just not ready to move forward.
that? Okay, so that won't be on the agenda next Thursday. But I will say this, I personally, do support certified therapy animals with children.
You bet.
And adults. Okay. Title I, item 7C, Title I, the agreement. Is there any?
School improvement plan.
Yep, is there any questions, concerns, any updates on this? This is new?
Can somebody
Well,
explain it
Brett,
out a little
Brett's
bit?
it says here he's gonna be
Well,
the
the school
speaker.
improvement plan,
Yeah, do you want me to speak on that in behalf, or do you have questions about it?
do you want to give a brief overview, just?
Yeah,
Yep,
summary.
so each year, so our elementary schools as well as Central Mountain High School have school improvement plans that they complete. On a little bit of a time crunch because they are always due September 1st through PDE. The data that we use to help formulate those plans, we use a lot of our local data, and if you know, we test 3 times a year, and our last testing session is in late May. So gathering that data to write school improvement plans, sometimes it takes time. You notice each year that in June, you pass our elementary school improvement plans. And if you look historically, each August, you pass our secondary plans. The school improvement process is like an ongoing process. So throughout a school year, both at the elementary level and at Central Mountain High School, we have school advisory teams or school steering committees that really work to collaborate on how our current plan is going and progress monitor that, as well as look at what we are going to write into future plan. So we usually hold that twice a year. I believe Central Mountain held theirs in March this year and fall. Yeah. So in those meetings in the spring, you're looking at the winter data that you've currently had. You're reporting it out to your stakeholders. You're making any tweaks to any plans and monitoring that progress of the current plan, but you're also gearing up for the next year's plan. So you're kind of twofold, not meeting with your steering committee on next year's plan, but also monitoring the current one. In the fall then, essentially what will happen this fall in September, October, November timeframe, the secondary staff and the elementary staff will be meeting with their stakeholders to
go over what the approved plan was and make any necessary changes, and then monitor it throughout the school year. And that's an ongoing process year in and year out. What you'll see on the agenda is the high school's plan. Once approved, I will upload those into, our federal programs system to ensure that we are good to go for our September 1st deadline.
And it's a mandate for the.
It's a mandated
Yep,
thing. Yep.
that's-
Yep.
yep.
It's each year.
Okay. Is there any questions? Okay, thank you very much. Very nice, Brett. Okay, the 7C, Title I Interdistrict Agreement with Jersey Shore School District.
Yep.
Would you like to just give us a little summary highlight on
I
it?
will definitely, yes. So anytime a school district has students who are going to a non-public school and being serviced, potentially in this situation, Jersey Shore has one student that is going to Lock Haven Catholic School. Keystone Central School District has a Title I staff member who is going to service that student and give them their services that they're due through their federal program's Title I grant.
Because they're now in our school district.
Because, so our teacher is teaching a student from Jersey Shore at Lock Haven Catholic School. So Jersey Shore is paying our district that amount of money to service that student. That money goes towards the salary of our staff member to help pay for our staff member salary.
Thank you. And here's a quick question, if I
Yep.
may. How is the salary determined? Does the district have any control over that whatsoever?
Absolutely not,
Please
no.
explain that.
Yep,
So-
yep, PDE has a formula, and I wish I knew the formula and how it worked. Obviously, a large portion of it is, free and reduced lunch and economic values of our students. So each district's number is a little different. So to give you an example, the next item on the agenda is kind of the opposite effect. We have two students who are in our district, but they are going to St. John's School, a non-public school. It is our responsibility to ensure that they get Title I services, but we don't have a teacher at St. John's.
Right.
So we are paying our two-student portion to St. John's, to that staff member to service, and we're really paying their school to service that student, those two students.
Yep.
Does that make sense? And
Oh, it does.
yeah,
I
if
want
there's,
everyone
yeah,
to
if you
understand.
need further clarification, I can, yeah. Anything else?
Yep. Okay. So it's
I will add that these are not funds that are coming out of like our general fund. These are all grant dollars that we are utilizing to, one, pay the St. John's teacher, and then Jersey Shore is using their grant dollars to service, to pay us.
That's why the funds are there.
Yep.
To help the students.
Yep.
Well, it was very easy to understand. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Good job, Brett. Okay, I'm just gonna move ahead then, if it's okay with everyone, since he already touched on that. The Assistant Board Secretary, and this has come up simply because Christine is the school board and superintendent secretary, but if she cannot be here for any reason or any of the other meetings, it sounded like it was best practices to be prepared if she has, a vacation or a personal day. And so someone to cover for her, but there seems to be, is this correct? There's really no one in the district that wants to be,
We had further,
great. And updates,
yeah, go ahead.
please.
Yeah, so Rachel Phillips has in the past
Yeah,
this filled in, and she's willing to continue to do that.
great.
Okay.
Is that good with everyone?
Yeah, Rachel does a fantastic job.
Thank you.
Now, there's two slots listed on here, though.
Is that just the form?
I just put that
Yeah, just in case.
We were checking just in
People
case
were
we got
interested.
two people
Okay,
who said,
somebody-
hey, we would
Yeah,
want to.
We kept it within, like, basically the Act 93 group because they're more of a confidential group. If we couldn't, then we were gonna ask to expand it.
Right.
Okay.
Now that we got that.
Right.
Rachel does a great job. She's on several of our committees, so. Good.
So her name will be in there for the motion next week.
Okay.
Thank you. Great, good news. The advanced placement curriculum, item 7F. I had this placed on the agenda simply because I had another parent come to me, and I'm not pointing fingers. And I will talk to Dr. Lonaconis. I sent the board an email about this. We have the course guide here. And if any of you did read the email or click on the pages of the course guide, I highlighted some things there for you. So my whole point with sharing this with you is I believe that through our conversations with student government, my conversation with Dr. Lonaconis, the curriculum chair, his concerns, I feel that the advanced placement students deserve a little more attention from what we've learned. So, be it as it may, did anyone have any questions or anything that I sent in the email or any other comments before we move on to the second part of this, was B7G, studies and assessments discussion? Any questions? Okay, all right, thank you very much.
Well, I guess,
Oh, please.
are we going to discuss the contents of what you sent? I mean, in the email, I didn't want to.
Oh, nothing is, it's all public. I
Okay.
mean, it's a public, it was not a,
So, I mean, basically, my understanding was we had people who've taken, multiple like AP courses and there's overlap. There's courses they prefer to take, there's courses they can't take. And so we're suggesting reshuffling them is kind of the idea. But to me, that sounds like a lot of work.
It's a scheduling snafu because when you start doing singletons in a mass scheduling operations, a lot of times because of either the instructors or their schedules or whatever, and the amount of students that are requesting those and where they fit in, just sometimes create problems. Grade levels, have certain students at one grade level where they would be able to fit into a schedule, but then they want to take an AP course that is normally at a different grade level. So then the majority of the ones you want to get into there are at, let's say, the 10th grade level, but a 9th grader wants to take it. But now the 9th grader has a conflict because the AP course for 9th grade is here. The AP course for 10th grade is here. So now they have to make a choice which one they want to take. So you run into that. All right. The other thing that you run into at AP courses, and we're seeing more of a trend on this, is the fact that students are more willing to take dual enrollment courses over AP courses because they get, as I was told today, they get more credit for the dual enrollment. And all they're doing is for the AP courses, they're getting a challenging course, but they don't necessarily have to take the AP exam. And there's no guarantee they're going to get a 3 or a 4, which most universities want before they'll assign credit. So it's a gamble for them. So years ago, you didn't see that because there wasn't dual enrollment.
right.
But now there is. So they're competing courses. The question's going to be, and this is what our discussion was, for some of these courses that have only 3 or 4 students in that are AP courses, are you as a board willing to say, okay, we'll run those courses with 3 or 4 students, knowing it's only 3 or 4 students? Okay, so that becomes an educational issue and a philosophical issue. So, versus, well, we have maybe some students that their needs are at the other end of the spectrum, and there may only be 2 or 3 students in that class. So now are you going to look at the other end of the spectrum and say, okay, there's a need over here for that? Because I know if we do, like John asked about the staffing study, look at that staffing study and you look at a course and you say, hey, they only have 4 students in there. Why do we have teachers teaching for that? You have to know why, and that's why, and then you have to agree with that philosophy. So that's the discussion you need. Nick, I don't know, did I hit it on the head or?
No, I think you did a fantastic job of explaining that. No matter, yeah. No matter where you get, sooner or later, you're going to get to a point where students are going to have to make a choice. We offer a phenomenal amount of courses, But when you only have 3 or 4 kids requesting that, it makes it very difficult because then that's one teacher for an entire period, 3 or 4 kids. And when we talk about our financial situation, we talk about staffing studies and we look at it that way, it's very hard. And you have to decide, what are we willing to do? And if we're willing to go and look at it that way, then okay. But then we also have to decide how's that going to hurt on the other end too. And he is very correct on the dual enrollment thing. Kids are just, that's the way to go right now. They're receiving credits. They're leaving high school with 27 to 30 to 33 credits, which is exactly what we want. You know, I can't talk badly about that, but in turn, what it does, it affects our AP courses because they're spending the time doing dual enrollment instead of AP, where you're not guaranteed the 3 credits. And a lot of universities just don't want to give that credit. They want you to come to their university. So it's a discussion and we should certainly continue to have it, but it's one we need to think about.
It's probably going to be something for the curriculum committee. But I mean, the dual enrollment versus if you have kids who want a few of the AP courses, does the virtual academy offer something that would fill in that gap?
That's a great question. It does. Yep.
In the email, there's 118. The AP students, the kids in the school can go on to our Keystone Cyber Charter School. They're the same classes. So the charter school kids have 118 and the kids that are coming into the building have the same 118. That's the way it's set up in the course book. So when I gave you those links, they would show you what the curriculum, they only do US history. There was three choices, physics, bio, there was 3 or 4 choices. And that's,
AP.
Through the software that we contract with. So our cyber kids and our brick and mortar kids, their only choices are the same.
So yes, your answer to your question is yes, they could possibly take the.
But the choices aren't very much. They have like 4 categories and there's like 3 different levels. So there's not like a whole bunch of different categories of choices. So that 118 doesn't mean 118 different topics. It's like 4 topics broken down into sections. So, okay?
Like to add anything to that, or you?
There are more opportunities in Virtual Academy. However, some of those do come at a cost to a student, similar to if a kid was taking a dual enrollment class. There are much more dual enrollment opportunities also through virtual, but it is similar. Like there are still APs and they can take them. We just don't have a plethora of AP virtual classes that are offered, but there are some, yes.
Okay.
Could some classes be combined with one teacher doing 2 different things? If you're only dealing with 3 or 4 things, I'm thinking like, if you want to have AP chemistry and AP physics, probably the same teacher could
Not
Could do.
necessarily one, but-
Science is really weird because it's all individual certification. So you'd have general science, and there's a chemistry certification, a physics certification, biology certification.
I just,
So, yeah, but
We've done that in some of my other districts with higher level math courses sometimes,
yeah,
where you had a couple students that wanted trig and another higher level, and they kind of
yeah.
split them, so they get a little of both,
Okay.
but it's still not a pure.
I hear that. The other thing is that when we met with the student government people, one of the young ladies was complaining that, and I believe she was up at Bucktail, but I'm not sure. But she had to take the same class 2 or 3 times because of scheduling. That was the only thing that was available for her to take. If a situation like that develops, is there a way we can have, now these kids are obviously talented kids. Could we have some sort of an independent study plan
Not sure
that,
what's
so
that-
that rather
we
than
have that in our
repeat the same
curriculum,
classes?
Wait, no, I understand, I know what you're talking about, and I think what you're talking about, Bill, is because sometimes at Bucktail, they don't have as many courses that they can offer.
Yeah.
What we try to do then with those students are get them to take something through our virtual academy, because what we don't really ever want to see from a kid is a transcript that has the same class multiple
That makes
times on that
sense.
transcript. So our push is, if you've already taken the class, at least try to look through something. If it can't fit it into your schedule, go through something through our virtual academy so we can make the transcript the way it needs to be.
And I'll just make one last comment. Again, they do a lot of great things with the AP program. So, but we've seen some deficiencies. And the other one that two parents actually brought up to me, well, no, I'm sorry, a student and two parents, is the rotation. They'll offer one class one semester, and the following year they'll offer another class for the advanced placement students. But this just happened I talked to Dr. Lonakonis about this. He will be talking, setting up with the parent. But bottom line, the student's looking forward to taking the class next year. It's in a rotation. So the student goes to sign up for the class, but again, there's only 3 or 4 students that are signed up, so the class gets canceled. So we only have them there for 4 years. If it's on an other every year rotation, and that's when you happen to get, well, they're taking the same class over again. Or they have to take a regular class. So we can improve on this. We know we got some deficiencies. We're okay. We're out there for you, AP students. We're out there. Okay, any other comments or questions? All right, thank you.
I had a question.
Yes, please, John,
The
sorry.
one about that, I got to backtrack a little bit. They said that we have 2 students going to St. Mary's, right? And the money does not come out of our general fund. It's all covered by grants. Correct?
That's correct.
Yeah,
Yes.
What's the difference between St. Mary's and Sugar Valley? They're in our district. Why is that? All's I ever hear is how Sugar Valley's breaking us. What's the difference? We shouldn't be paying for that. It should be coming out of the grants.
Yeah, that's because that is our non-public schools. So our non-public schools, Lock Haven Catholic School, St. John's, would be our non-pub schools.
So we have 2 you say go to St. John's or St. Mary's.
St. John's.
Okay, what's the difference then, like I said, between that and Sugar Valley?
Yeah, they're not a non-public school. Yeah.
So John, Sugar Valley would be considered public, even though it's a charter school. Lock Haven Catholic, St. John Catholic, they're considered non-public or private schools. So anytime a student in the attendance area goes to a non-public school within the federal funding formula, the requirements require the district that accepting federal funds for the non-public money to follow the student where they go. And it's based on our allotment per student ratio. So when a student goes there, we have to send a portion of those funds to that school.
All right, thank you.
all right, thank you very much. Action item 7G, this is back on. I was hoping that the board could decide. We had 3 contenders last time, and then whichever one or none that you decide what topic, then we could request that the superintendent, when there's time, get some quotes together for us. And I would like to start the conversation. I thought about all the priorities that were spoken about last time. This is the one that I personally choose. Curriculum assessment for only special needs students and only for AP students and only for the Keystone Cyber Charter School. Just those 3, not a complete study for everything, because I think the district's doing a really good job for the kids, I'll say in the middle, if that's appropriate. But it's our special needs, the cyber charter school, our cyber charter school, and the AP, just those three. To me, right now, that's a critical component, which also may drive whether or not we're gonna go with teaching teams, whether we're gonna go with a curriculum coordinator, whether we go with a curriculum director. But I think those three, that's my choice. And please, I'd love to hear what your thoughts are, what your priorities are, so we can move forward with this.
I think that's a good idea, because I've had a lot of parents reach out to me with special needs kids that don't feel they're getting what they need. I've had several, and I think that's a good start.
Okay? Please.
I'd be content with that to start.
Okay.
And Chris, if you have those parents, please direct them to me, so
Yeah.
I may speak with them.
They were directed to Dr. Redmond and nothing came about of it, so
All right. Yeah,
I can
please.
send them to you now. Two of them actually already pulled their kids and went elsewhere.
Okay.
I'm gonna show my ignorance here, Liz.
No, no, sorry.
So this, is kind of like an initiative that we're taking on now is to move through these, and then there will be a continuation until at some point we've addressed the whole picture.
Yes,
But we
yes.
start with this.
That's my personal
So-
choice and my rationale.
This isn't gonna fall off once this is done, that we don't do anymore.
This is all board driven. If the board wants something put on the agenda, if the board wants to talk about any topic, they keep bringing it up and bringing it up and bringing it up. And no, nothing falls off. If a board member wants to discuss something or talk about a different study, any point, any time, absolutely do it.
It's great. I think it's something that a lot of us, I mean, that would be great for the whole body to start looking at these things, because we each get to say something and have a piece of it. And it's a good place to start. There would be one of those things that somewhere Al would just, yeah, I saw your look. So initiative is a good word or a bad word?
Depends. It's, that is an encompassing, request, only because of what it's gonna take to do that.
Yeah.
So I do appreciate the fact that you want to target one, because then that kind of like drops off some of the other stuff. And again, and it's funny because we just had a conversation earlier today about how we would do something like that and who is available, like, to do something like that. So what I would say, the curriculum committee, or I guess that's where it would be, to say, okay, specifically then, let's narrow this down, 'cause that's pretty broad what you said. So let's narrow it down so we're a little more specific so that we could target the aspects that you want to know about. Okay,
I would want to make it clear, it's not pointing fingers at anybody.
Mm-mm.
It's what can we do better for the students?
Absolutely.
That's my goal, is how can we
Absolutely.
take what we have and fine tune it and make it better for the students?
Yep, and that's the way it should be. Like, let's look, do we have gaps? Is there something we're missing? Not
Right.
intentionally, but is there something that we're not doing or could be doing? And that's the way it should be. So I appreciate that comment.
And this is one of our very sensitive areas we have to deal with. So that's just a starting point to improve the whole circle.
Right. Well, I will say this, Dr. Lonaconis, you might not know this. I shared this with the board and with administration when I first brought some of these topics up. February, March. The last curriculum audit that was done for this school district was by IU10 in 2019.
Okay.
And it's actually really good.
Mm-hmm.
And they still do these assessments for school districts.
All right.
So, the thing is, when the study was done though, because there was changeovers,
Mm-hmm.
I don't really think some of the things were implemented. But now it's not outdated, but
Yeah.
it didn't look at these specific things that we keep hearing about, the special education and the AP students and our cyber charter.
Yeah.
Our numbers are going up.
Mm-hmm.
And if we can get those people from outside to come here, because technically Dr. Redmond, didn't he say he was gonna be doing it, working with IU-10 or somewhere with the cyber charter? But he left, and I think that ball just dropped.
Yeah, well, Christine and I met with representatives with the IU-10 after we found the place.
They're moving, by the way, which is great.
Again?
Well, yes, but they're looking for a
She
place in Lock
linked
Haven,
together
and they do
it's
have,
separated.
taking over an old
She
LHU
found a
building.
nice smart
Yeah.
match.
So anyway,
Educators. can-
but we did start talking to them about the cyber charter stuff and things. And I know Dave Peters is involved in that conversation
Yes,
also.
good.
So
Good.
we are making inroads there. But like I said, we did talk about some other things. So we're moving. It's just, we got to figure out. I just don't want to waste time going off in different directions. I want to make sure we're targeted. Okay.
So does administration, do you want us to take this topic and move it to Manny's curriculum meeting this month, or?
Well, yeah, because if you have like I said, if you have specifics,
Okay.
that you want, then we want to definitely flesh that out.
Yeah.
Is that okay
Curriculum,
with you?
so that
Oh, yeah.
we're all in
Yeah,
agreement, this is what we're looking at. Because I don't want to waste her time doing a lot of stuff and Dave's time, because time is time,
Yes.
I just want to be efficient about what we're doing and very clear about what we're doing. Okay?
Okay.
But
Yeah, that's good.
All right, so we'll add that to his committee agenda. That's very helpful. Thank you all very much. Any other comments or concerns about that one? Thank you. The business, everything under number 8. Is there any comments, concerns, highlights?
Yeah, I got hit up with some questions,
Okay,
and I went and got answers today. The first one was, why is Rock River only getting like $14,000 in change, and Nittany Learning Services getting 87,500 in one shot? Both of them got 5 seats with 1 extra. The difference is Rock River is getting paid in installments, and NLS is getting paid 1 shot. That was the first one. The second question I was asked about was on page 2, the first line, there was a big reconciliation. They pay the same amount of money every month to that company for that service.
okay,
Okay? And at the end of the month, it was for a child that goes to different things. And at the end of the month or end of the semester, whatever, they reconcile how many days did he attend, didn't attend. So you see that adjustment.
okay, that makes sense.
That made total sense to me. When they pay it a flat fee every month instead of having to sit there every day, then they come back and reconcile it. Am I correct, Joni, with that? Okay. And that was the 2 big things I got tagged on about.
Okay,
That's it.
good. Well, thank you for looking into
Yep.
that. Thank you, Joni, and whoever helped him.
Christie.
Christy, thank you,
Thank you.
Christy.
Joni was on a break.
that's why we were trying to find those millions, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you say any under 8 or 8?
Oh,
Are we under
8A, I'm sorry, bills for payment. And then the next one, do you have anything on 8A, bills for payment? Okay, thank you. 8B, checks for review.
That's where I was just at.
Yes. Oh, bills for payment.
Yeah,
Oh,
you said anything under 8, because there's nothing
I'm sorry,
under,
8,
there's
8,
nothing
yes.
under bills for payment.
Yep, sorry. I got it backwards. 8C, handbooks.
Yes.
Okay. Keep reviewing them.
I am. I appreciate you getting the policy 810 transportation and that in it. But why
such different formats for the different schools?
Because of different, operational systems in each school. You
Okay.
can't have one handbook just for everybody because of the age difference.
I was just looking at the same stuff for the basics.
Yeah, you,
Cause they're even all laid out different, how you gotta
Yes.
find things and everything else and.
yeah, it's just, that is not uncommon in school districts each, and sometimes you'll see it by building, sometimes too, depending
Okay.
on the structure.
All right.
And you gotta look at the operational ease at the site. Okay,
Okay.
so,
All right.
not that we want to make it difficult for you, but I'd rather have my parents and my teachers and my administration using that, and then have you guys ask the questions.
I have a question. It's the Virtual Academy handbook in page 5, and it says highlighted in new that we're to do a wellness check once a week.
That's,
Is that new?
Yeah.
Like, so we were doing a version of this before or not doing it or?
I can't answer that, so.
oh,
I don't want to speak for Dave, but that is part of the new regulations that are coming up that they're pushing out through all virtual academies, that there's mandatory wellness checks. That was not anything that was mandatory before. That was something that we were able to do probably better than a lot of like your CCAs and that, because we had people in the building. We had people checking on someone. We were doing that. This is something now they're making mandatory across the board.
Okay.
Justin, you might be better to answer that.
Yeah, and that's just, so like our program, the actual curriculum, it's asynchronous. So really, a student could complete all their coursework and we wouldn't have to put physical eyes on them. This is a requirement now for that you have to have a check-in with those full-time at-home students so that they're not getting lost in the shuffle, falling through the cracks, or someone checking in with them that, one, they're okay. Secondly, it's just best practice.
And the other aspect of that is following the money. Making sure that those students are attending and we're not getting billed for students that are not attending. So. Which has happened.
You just caught my eye. Okay.
Yep. Good
that was a
question.
good question, Jason. Thank you.
Christina's on if you'd like her to speak. And who helped with the books.
Oh, okay. Anybody have questions for Christina?
On the handbooks. On 8C. No?
I have a comment. I don't have a
What?
question. I have in general, as I've complained about with other things, they're too long.
Okay.
Okay, they're got this funny thing that if you produce something, it should be useful. And the chances of this being read, I think, are pretty slim. I spent a lot of hours reading. I read every one of them. Well, I shouldn't say read every one of them. I read a basic and then I skimmed some of them, but it took a long time.
Yeah.
In my business, we had an aphorism. It said, the more you write, the less you know.
That's good.
So something to think about.
Well, part of that though, unfortunately, is, when we get called to court, and especially federal court, one of the first things the judges will ask is it what's in your handbook? What is in your policy?
So you're writing for them.
So you end up writing a lot to cover a lot. Because if it's not in there, I've personally been in situations where it wasn't covered. And we lost the case right there. It didn't go any further. Because as you know, you're approving handbooks, you're approving policy. You're approving basically local school law. All right, and that's what these guys have to hang their hats on when they're dealing with students in situations. So I understand, and believe me, I totally understand what you're saying. But it is a procedural thing for us.
Specific in several of them in regard to clothing, to attire. They spoke about emblems that could be offensive,
Mm-hmm.
and they specifically mentioned, among other things, they mentioned swastikas and Confederate flags. And to me, this raises First Amendment questions. Clearly, the swastika business, that was the Supreme Court decided that in the Skokie case. The Confederate flag, well, who's offended? I suspect if you speak to somebody whose ancestors were from Mississippi and had people at Vicksburg or Gettysburg, you're going to get a different, it's going to be more offensive to be told that they can't display something they want to. I would eliminate that myself. And it throws out another thing. If people are getting offended, maybe it's time to start encouraging them to grow up and realize that there are constitutional rights and not being offended is not one of them. If we insist on having something, I think we should put another thing in there because this has come up in other places. I doubt that it would happen here, or it doesn't seem like it would happen here right now, but it should be put in there that displays of the American flag, the Pennsylvania flag, or anything relating to any branch of the United States military would never be considered offensive and could be worn.
Thank you, Bill.
You're welcome, John. That's come up in other places, and
Oh,
I don't want to see it happen in here.
Sure. But I understand the thing about the swastikas and we will run that by council to make sure that we can, eliminate that.
Remember, the swastika is an important thing in both Buddhist and Hinduism.
Mhm.
It's, this,
Yeah.
it's been used as a symbol for thousands of years.
Yeah.
It just was usurped by a wacko
Mhm.
80 years ago.
That's a good point. Good point.
Yeah.
Well, we look forward to hearing the update about whether or not a school district can put those things in their handbook. Good
Well,
catch.
I guess a real quick question on
Yes,
that too
please.
is how far does the school district's reach when it comes down to virtual learning in the homes with what is seen on a screen with kids and stuff like that? So I guess my question is to add on to kind of what Bill was saying is how far can the school district reach if my son calls me into the room and says, Dad, I can't get this to work or whatever it may be. And I reach my arm up to do something or something like that. And I carry and it shows on the screen. Am I going to have police officers at my door tomorrow? Because now that came up, so it's like a simple mistake like that. Is that something, so I guess how far can the school district actually reach with that kind of stuff?
Again, I can't answer that.
Yeah.
Good point, Mary.
Yeah. I wanted to go to law school, but I did, so. I
You got an
Well, thank you.
education instead.
Yeah, I'm practicing more law than,
That description for the next one.
without those good questions. Good question. We'll find out.
That was great. Thank you very much. Okay, updates to follow. I have a quick update we just got from Christine for item 6F. We'll make sure that.
6F?
6F, yes. I'm going to make sure, I'm not me, Christine will make sure that the voting session agenda matches what she uncovered. Those textbooks and everything is for the Renova campus and for Central Mountain.
Okay,
Middle
very
School,
good.
okay?
Okay.
That's great.
Thank you, Christina. Thank you.
All right, back to the 8s. We're on 8D, Lycoming Clinton Joinder Board Agreement. Any questions or concerns, comments?
Since we were involved, Dr. Laconis, before your time,
Okay.
we were doing meetings with the commissioners and probation. And it surrounded the Joiner board, and there was a few of us that were hitting every single meeting to try to improve things. And, I think this is something we need to continue. I'd like to see the meetings with probation and the judges continue. Cause I think we were starting to gain headway
We were in it.
and then it just stopped.
Yeah. Yeah, because I know we're meeting with the judge.
That's a different.
I know, but,
Yes.
It's still kind of.
yeah, but when I went in for my swearing in, for my commission here, for the oath of office, I did talk to Judge Miller
Mhm.
about some of this stuff.
Okay.
So, because when I was here before, we were doing some of that.
We'll meet with him the 12th.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
Yep, I'll get
we'll
that back on.
continue that. I didn't
Thanks.
realize that was, okay,
I'll
that's
have
fine.
an update for you.
Okay.
Yeah, getting a lot of the input from the folks for probation on truancy and stuff, that was huge.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're hiring an officer that's coming out of probation
Yeah.
that dealt with that. And that's gonna be a huge plus for the district.
All right.
Probably rebuilding that village.
Yeah, it was interesting. When I got sworn in, I walked out and she was at the desk. I
Right?
said, what are they charging you with?
Yeah, that's gonna be a huge plus. Plus we'll have a female officer. That'll be another huge
All right.
plus.
Okay.
Good role model. Okay, any other questions on 8D? Okay. 8E, PASA dash PSBA school leadership. Dr. Lomakonis, you would like to go?
Yes, I would like to attend with that. That's something I've always done in my interims and things. And then I accompany the board, make sure they're going to this session.
Yeah, keep an eye on them.
Yeah. So,
We need help. You know.
yeah.
We need, we need a keeper. Yeah, Dr. Redmond went the last 2 years
Okay.
and it works out well. I don't see why you should have to pay your own course fee.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
That should be covered under the, same sort of things that are in the, 93 contract. Yeah.
No, thank you. I was willing to do that, but thank
No,
you.
the school district. You're representing Keystone. So,
Well, it says in
Right.
here, unless I read it wrong, it said in here that he was going to pay his own course fee.
Right. Yeah, I was gonna pay my own course, but thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
we disagree with you.
That's the first time. Okay. Duly noted.
So seriously, the board majority, we're in a consensus that when we go to vote, it's going to come out of the general fund. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, thank you so much. Now, Joni, Chair Chris, when he spoke on the finance committee, touched on this, but again, did you want to add anything about the copier lease agreement renewal and all the work your team did on this and the impact?
I think Chris covered the high level basics, but currently the lease is up October 1st, so this will take effect October 1st. But we have two copier leases. This is the one that was up again this October, and these are the administrator wing and some of the high school and CTC copiers. We currently have 17 copiers, and will be going down to 11 on the lease. So one of them we have removed, 3 we have downsized. We had things on the copiers that we didn't need, 3-hole punch in staples and things like that. We just don't use them. We don't utilize those extras on the machines. And then we decided that there were 5 of them that had 200,000 copies, and you really can get about 400,000 copies out of them. So why turn them over and for a new lease if we can still get probably 2 more years out of them? So we decided to recommend to just buy those outright. And for 5 copiers, and it's $7,294, which is a big savings versus leasing brand new ones. What that will happen then is the next lease of the copiers that are in all the buildings, that will expire in 2 years. What we'll do then is take a look at these copiers in 2 years and see where we are. We may have to lease, machines that they may have reached that $400,000 copy usage, but in 2 years though, we can decide what to do. Then again, which is nice, is now we'll just have one lease, every 5 years versus these 2 that we have been rolling for all these years. We continue to always look at postage machines and copiers and anything like that we can utilize and maybe if we can, remove some of them, downsize some of them, we'll continue to do that. But it is a savings, like Chris said, of like $53,000 over 5 years. So, that's a huge difference.
Small numbers add up to big numbers.
Yeah, and the effort is deeply appreciated. Thank you. Any questions? Thank you. My favorite title, Ripple Effect. Christina Manning, is there anything you'd like to add that isn't already described here? Anything, updates?
Actually, I talked to her earlier today. If that's okay, I can just give you a quick update on that.
Yeah, however you want.
Right now, Ripple Effect is being used at the middle school and the high school through our learning center. And the way we use that is if a student comes in, we use this program to then pinpoint what it is, like their behavior that they're having, and then they're working on stuff to try to rectify that behavior. And then in turn, what we're starting to see is we're starting to see a trend of we're not seeing the habitual offenders happening over and over again, because hopefully, and this is the plan, that they're starting to find ways to de-escalate themselves, that if they find themselves in a similar situation, they handle it differently to the point where they're not going to get themselves in trouble back in the learning center. We used PCCD money to get this about 2 or 3 years ago.
Would you please tell them what that acronym means?
And I would love to, but that is a Christina Manning one that she
sorry.
So
Delete,
thanks for putting me on the spot on that one.
Acronym needs an acronym.
Yeah. It was money we needed to spend based on something that fit into that category. Right now, where we're set on is we would have to pay $900 a year to get just the improvements on what that is. And for what we're using it and what we're getting from it, it's a great cost for $900 a year here at the high school and at the middle school to help our students figure out on their own how to, when they encounter a situation that they don't normally know how to handle, using those skills that they're learning through Ripple Effect to then not repeat that behavior again. Doesn't work 100% of the time,
It's another tool.
but it's certainly more success than we've had before. So it's well worth, I would say, the $900 a year.
Anything? Well, and also whoever started the whole program, I've heard about very briefly outcomes that it has been really helpful, and that you're gradually implemented it instead of just doing it completely across the board. So I think it was handled really well, and I'm very happy that you're doing this.
Thank you.
Okay, the IDEA agreement. Do we have any additional concerns, comments on this one? Questions?
I'm gonna give a brief.
Yeah.
So this is our allotment that we receive for special education funding. Previously, this was always available to us and approved in August. We are waiting for the IU to get the contract to us. There is a holdup with PDE, so the allocations for districts have not been allotted yet. We put it on the agenda hoping that we may have it for next week's voting meeting, because we don't want to push it off if we don't have to through September. So that's the 611. The 619 is similar. It's for early intervention students. So we are responsible to pay for services for students who are of school age, but parents decide to keep them in early intervention services. And then this is a grant that helps us fund some of that, not all of it, but it gives us an allotment to pay for those services. So hopefully we'll have the agreements for next week. If not, it will likely be on September's.
Okay. That's wonderful. Any questions? I think the description was very, very clear. Thank you so much. The 9A. Any, do you want to go through each attachment, or did you have any comments on any particular attachment? Please.
I guess the only question I actually counted, because I've always been curious as to how many of our staff and faculty go for their advanced degrees. Is this a typical year, 17, or is this a high year? I'm just curious, just
Well,
based on how many got masters and.
yes, this was a topic of conversation prior to you coming. Thank you for asking this question. So, would anyone from administration, would anyone like to start this conversation and help Jason?
So Masters, that's pretty typical because when you enter into education with your bachelor's, you have to earn an additional 24 credits. So most educators will enroll in a master's program because they have to get the 24 credits anyway.
Yeah.
So I would say that that's pretty typical, just depending on the age of our staff coming in, whether they're a veteran teacher or they're level one with their certificate.
So these people basically been here with under 10 years, basically.
Yes. So you have 5 years to go from level one certification to level two. So they have that 5-year time frame to earn 24 credits. So like I said, most teachers will just enroll in a master's program. The other, when you see the plus 12, plus 24, 36, that's contractual, professional learning for teachers, but in the teacher contract, those are milestones for pay increases.
Okay.
Okay, and I'd like to just update you on our conversation when this came up last time. I made a request, and this was with the old board members. I made a request, the next report that we received, it would have the person's name, their title, like middle school math teacher, how many years they've been teaching here or been employed here, what the name of the class they took or the degree that they got, where they went to school, and how much it cost. And so I'm asking the board, do you see any value in that for them to give a little more information on this report? Who are these people? Where do they work? How many years have they been here? What class did they take? How much did it cost? Because no board since I've been here has ever gotten a report like that actually shows to us and to the public that yes, this math teacher got a master's degree or a doctorate in math because that is their specialty. Or did they go to school to become a lawyer or to get their superintendent's degree, doctorate? Okay, so what I'm saying is those things have not been visually seen or discussed by the board all the years that I've been here. And that's how I think some things kind of slip through, should we say? Not that there's anything wrong with this, but when I look at this report, it's not telling me anything. How is this helping the students?
I would object strongly to that.
Okay.
So we have a process right now. So teachers enroll in a program. If it's a program of study, a master's degree, doctorate program, anything of that nature, it goes to the superintendent
Yeah.
for program approval.
Mhm.
And then after that, individual courses of that approved, or if it's just enrichment courses that they're taking, those come to me right now and I approve those on an individual, like on an individual basis. So if it's not if it's a course that is professional learning, but it's questionable. So for example, it was a Ohio State Professional Learning Consortium offers courses, but they're not really graduate courses. A lot of school districts, teachers were using those and they were getting a certificate to say that it was 3 graduate credits, but they weren't recognizing them at the university. So those are things like I don't approve. So there has to be true graduate level to their program. So I know the reference that you're making.
That's you, Justin. And
I know the reference that you're making there, but so currently right now, if someone's going to enroll in a program that's master's program or a doctorate program or any sort of program, it goes to the superintendent first.
yes, and that's where our policy is read ever since I've been here.
So, and then each course after that, even though they're approved for a program, every single course then gets approved on a form, like they write it out, they give us the course description, everything. So it's all tracked.
Yes, and I've noticed other school districts, when I've looked at this, the actual form that those individuals are filling out actually is attached to the school board's agenda. We've never done that here. So this might be an item for the personnel committee to discuss, or I don't know, or just drop it, or
Can I ask why you feel so strongly about that? Because I feel very strongly in the other direction.
Fine, good, go,
Um,
please, please.
Because we're at this point right now as a district, and tonight, and a few others, we seem to be turning in the direction that we've all wanted to do, where
Yes.
we begin to have respectful discourse and things are, no, but one of the things we don't have, and I know we're gonna work on it, we want to, is how do we treat each other with the kind of professionalism or respect for that? We, man, since, okay, I don't want to go too far back, but the thing is that this system has been in place that you're talking about for quite a while, where you, and it has worked, and the association has understood that there needed to be someone that, on the administrative side, that would say, no, seriously, this is basket weaving, you're not gonna do that. Because most of us don't respect that anyway as colleagues. It's like, seriously, I worked really hard to get this doggone master's. Now you're making a fool out of me. So that's there, but just when we're, and I have seen, but man, I won't make this long.
No, go.
Over
please.
time, administration and the association has really worked pretty hard at coming up with a system of whereas we're selecting and we're working on selecting these people that come to us as teachers and other administrators and such, that they really do have the chops, they have the credentials and stuff. So we're hiring them. I see less of an opportunity for people to try to slip through and do less. I see, just in listening to what these folks are telling us tonight, they have done their homework on a lot of these things that are changing. And that's one of the things that's like, I have a reaction now and again, like you do, Liz. It's like, what? You know? And it's
Deer in the
like-
headlights.
It's like, what, so if we're going to begin really going toward treating each other as professional board members, professional, I don't want to call them staff, that seems almost, it's not nice, but these folks, as we're working together, the community needs to see us as a professional organization. Really calling people out or trying to like get to this, I don't know what those other school districts are doing, and I frankly, not to be a jerk, I don't care. We're us. This is Clinton County, and we care about our kids and we care about ourselves. So I always bristle because I do not want to be that person with my name put out there for some jerk on Facebook to start beating up on me. And there are a lot of people that do that. Board wouldn't do that. That's not what we want. We want to make sure, but that's what Dr. Collins' job is, and that's what his job is. And if he come to me, if that happens, I'll take them to the woodshed like I just got taken tonight. But, so that's it. I do have like a really hard time with any time that we treat each other with less than, I guess, the due consideration that one would of the position. Am I making sense?
Yeah, no, I understand. You're, okay.
Well-
He spoke, who else wants to speak, please?
What I would like to add to that is if there's specifics or something that was brought to your attention, again, bring it back so that we can look at it. Like if you heard that somebody was taking courses for an obscure reason, then give us that opportunity to look into that and come back and say, okay, yes, you were right, and we're gonna fix that, or no, that wasn't happening. Because again, not to play as that, but this is gonna create a lot more work for that department to get that information, because this comes in, I mean, how many times a year? 3-4 times major. So the other thing we could take it, and again, I don't want to create more work for them, but we review them. I remember last time when I was here, we went through those. Okay. And we did correct some of those things and said these universities, or not universities, these places, they can't get credits for anymore. You know, so we do review that, and I know he does review that, so, but I appreciate your comments about the professionalism and the trust that we're doing, and we're trying to build that. I mean, I don't think there's one administrator in this district that doesn't want that trust back from the board and the community. So I know they're trying hard to get that again. So, you know, give us that opportunity, you know, to do that. So if there's something specific, please, anybody, if there's something specific, get to me or the new superintendent and say, okay, here's an issue, here's something to look at, get back to us, you know? Then if we're not failing yet, take me to the woodshed and I'll give you the stick.
With
All
pleasure.
right, all right. Very good.
The two older men.
Yeah.
Jason.
I will, and definitely agree. I mean, you know, I only know what's spoken in rumors, so, you know, if we can build that trust, I'm all for that. Absolutely. I think for me, one of the reason I asked the question in the first place is, you know, as you spoke, I remembered, you know, my sister does teach and she also got her master's degree for the reasons that you mentioned. To me, it's kind of, I like to know if we're going to invest in people, if this is going to be part of, like this came up in the Act 93 discussion. If this is going to be something that, okay, we need to invest in our teachers, need to invest in our staff. These are things, they have to pursue so many credits for re-education, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. As someone who's kind of trying to be financially responsible, but at the same time understanding we need to invest in our people. Knowing what's in the pipeline is beneficial. I'm not saying I need to know names.
Sure.
But in the sense of like, okay, we got, you know, so many teachers and so many administrators are working on their masters. We got a few people, they're working on their doctorate. That to me is like, okay, you know, we know these things are coming. We know these things are coming out of the budget, but at the same time, we also have that ready response of they have to get so many credits, folks, in the first place. And that, you know, that's why the compensation is supposed to be there in a sense. So I'm trying to find that kind of wiggle room of, yes, let's make sure it's pointed in the right direction to benefit the district. But at the same time, I think it's beneficial to at least know, I don't know, something's coming. And that there are people who are actively working on themselves outside the walls of, you know, of obviously this district. I mean, I think that's beneficial for everybody.
Sure. And that's not, you know, excessive or anything else like that, you know, to be able to say that, because like, again, as these requests come in, you know, we could say to the board, okay, we're getting these requests, you know, this is how many requests we have for, well, you're getting for credit reimbursement, you know, because you'll see that, you know, and you have to approve it. I mean, it's an expenditure, you're approving it. So in essence, you are getting to see that. It's just how much more of the detail that you need to see, you know, to say, like, what types of courses are they taking, you know? Or do you want to, like, okay, we have 20 people taking courses from Lock Haven, we have, you know, 15 from Penn State. But again, that's another layer of work that we have to, you know, feather into that, you know? And again, and I guess I always go back to, like I said earlier, what's the purpose? Why do you need this? Like what, you know? And again, I understand from past, I understand that.
That's more.
Yeah, you know, so trying to make sure, so give us an opportunity to talk about it and say, okay, is there something we can do better to try to, you know, but without being excessive?
Yeah.
Okay. And then we'll go from there. And again, it's part of an educational thing. You're new, you want to know, you know, how that works. Like tonight, he just explained, okay, it's state requirement to keep your certificate. You have to get X amount, you know, to get that, keep that rolling. So now you know why there's so many taking those type of courses to get their masters, you know, it's purposeful, but yeah, I don't want anybody taking, you know, courses from Bogdunk U because they're easy and they have nothing to do with their classroom or, you know, no, we don't want to see that because just for what he said, you know, we earned ours. We were out there fighting, doing that stuff, you know. So we want to make sure, plus you want to make sure that it's credible, you know, and it's there for a reason to better their craft and better their trade. So.
Chris?
Okay, first. Excuse me. Elizabeth,
Oh, yeah, Chris had his hand up, John. Can you just like,
Well, I gotta go. He can tag it. I just want to let you know, I gotta go here.
oh, I'm so sorry. I hope your wife's doing better.
We're all right. I'll talk to you later.
All right,
Bye,
thanks, John.
Okay, John.
Christine, when did this agenda go public?
When did I email you?
It was,
I don't remember. It was a couple days ago, right?
it was, you said after our agenda setting meeting at 12, you said, is it ready to go? And I said, well, yes, with those couple of little changes we did.
The reason I'm asking is because I was at the fair yesterday and I was getting beat up about our personnel agenda.
Things were added later, yes.
Things were added late. I don't know. I didn't see it officially till I got home last night. But we've had big discussions on, the DPLs, the department program leaders, and reducing them. And now I see it's on here that we're adding one. And I think it would be good if the public was explained what a DPL does. And how many do we have and where are they scattered out to? And there's several things on here that we've not had a personnel meeting yet. We're gonna have one on the 12th, which is the day before voting. So I think there's a lot of things on here that Justin and us can work out so we have some answers before the voting session. And one of the big things I got hit up on was we just went through all that mess with Act 93. And there's apparently, I don't know what page it's on, there's 2 Act 93 people that are wanting a substantial raise. And Justin kind of explained it to me a little bit ago. But legally, can you find out from the solicitor, we just did the Act 93 contract, and now we're gonna give certain people on there huge raises. Is that legal? Can we do that?
Sure we can.
Okay,
But that was those cafeteria positions we talked about.
yeah,
That's what those were. So it's outside the regular budget. It's coming through the cafeteria budget.
right, but
And then 2 people are gonna pick up the responsibility of the 3rd position. So we eliminated an Act 93
Right.
position. So they could pick up the extra duties.
right, well, that's why here we can answer that,
Right.
because that was one of the big ones I got jumped on is that's a significant raise.
It's really not a raise, it's a pay adjustment.
Okay,
Yeah, because
Okay, there we go.
as I explained before, based on just averages of those positions, they were actually underpaid for
okay,
what they did. Now, on top of it, they're picking up half of another position. So the district is gonna save close to $60,000 by
Okay.
doing that.
all right, and that's good. I just
Yeah.
wanted the public to hear that.
Sure.
That way you can be substantial. There is a few things on there that Justin, when we do the personnel meeting, there's 1 or 2 items on there that's gonna need to be executive session, so we'll figure in a few minutes for that and I'll get with you on that.
Okay.
That's, yep, that's what I had. And then let me get back out of this page. To find out where it was. In the beginning. Oh, where is it here? On 10A.
10,
Oh, wait, I'll wait till we get down there. Never mind.
okay, thank you.
Sorry.
All right, any other comments on the personnel sheet? Okay, I'm gonna take my turn then. First of all, Rich, I just want to make it very clear, my suggestions that I made last year and the same suggestions I'm making this year has nothing to do about trust. Okay? Because we
I know
always,
it's
we have,
directed at
a-
you.
we have a leap of faith. We have a leap of faith that, 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 people are gonna do the right thing. Okay, that's not the issue. The issue is we've had staff in the past, okay, that have been allowed to take classes that are mandated, but some of those classes, the state offers them for free. Other ones, they don't. We have no idea. We're just said, here, approve this. The other thing is marketing, and I expressed this the last time I mentioned this. We have a name of a teacher, and let's say it's a math teacher, middle school. And it shows that they took a class at, say, Penn State to get a master's in how a child can understand math concepts better, okay? That is a marketing tool. It is showing that our teachers, what they took and how it's being applied. That's what this is about. And also how much it cost, because people have said that to us, or at least to me. Why are you paying all these people to go to school? How much does it cost? It's just transparency, communication, and marketing. And also, it shows that the board has governance and oversight. That, yeah, here's the report, and I'll be honest with you, I really don't think that that's a big ask. I'm not gonna approve this because, again, just like I didn't last time, the information isn't there. It's just a piece of paper with names, approve it. What I was saying about the previous school district, the people that applied to take these classes, they would go through the channels. And then they would come to the board, do you approve this person to take this class? It doesn't come to the board after the person's already taken the class and for a reimbursement. So in my mind's eye, we're doing it backwards. I don't think I'm being unreasonable when I'm saying accountability, yes, but marketing and to show what these individuals, that we have teachers who have incredible credentials, but this doesn't tell us anything. So it's not about trust. It's about those things I just talked about, okay? So
I agree with you in most of that. The
Okay.
only part is the contractual side.
mhm.
Okay, because technically the contractual side is under the teacher's contract, they can do that. So the board can't basically negate the contract.
We
Now-
mean, they can't apply before we reimburse them? Well, don't worry about it now.
You
It's a
cannot,
conversation
yeah.
we can,
Yeah, because honestly, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I see exactly what you're saying, Liz, and I agree totally with that. And I think we can get to that. We will need to compromise then on what we're talking about here, because looking at it from the other side and having been there are those that will not respect what you're saying. And those are the people that we keep running into at the county fair and all over the daggone place. And so yes, indeed, we do need to be able to show, I think that everybody here would agree with that we absolutely need folks to understand what we're both saying. We have a very professional group of people
yeah,
who are doing everything they can to keep improving themselves, but also get the job done on a daily basis without going nuts and wearing themselves out. But if we're sitting here as a board and it seems okay to post those salaries and the names and all the rest of the jazz. There are people, and we've been dealing with them for some time, and we've watched them up there. They are just hungry for that kind of information. And they will use it in ways and turn it, twist it in ways that are not professional and that are not, sometimes not even honest, but showcasing what we have, because our kids need to see that too.
yeah.
Yeah.
Our
People
kids
want to
run
move
in-
here.
They run into us
Yeah.
at these meetings and they go, wow,
I mean, and.
That old man's
talk
not as
about
bad as he thought.
compromise. The compromise might be, we had 20 teachers apply for credit reimbursement for these courses. So we could do something like
You'll
that.
come up with something. I know you will, but I
Yeah.
think you.
I
see
understand what
where
you're saying.
Rich
I
and-
believe we
Yep.
can get to
I
this
understand
point.
what
I
you're
think
saying.
so.
Yeah.
But we need to tell people
Yeah.
and let them see it at least.
We need
Yeah.
to be able to let it be learned for people to be able to understand it.
Yeah.
If they understand it, then they'll know where we're at.
We're
Yeah.
living.
But if they're just being fed info that's not true or it is not understood, they can only believe what they hear, and that's a big part of the problem, the kids included. We have a bright bunch of kids here. We've got an outstanding. Rich and I have been hitting these student council meetings hard. And it's amazing to see what these kids are doing and thinking. And you gotta remember, they're the ones that someday, none of us are gonna be here. And they're gonna be the ones that gotta step up to the plate.
We hope so.
They're the ones that are gonna be feeding me my mush in 10 years.
Yeah, there you go.
But Brett, just, it is reality, right?
Yeah.
It's gotta have
We all
bacon
have
with it though.
different characteristics.
Crunch up my bacon.
Yeah,
We're a big bowl of soup.
I was just enlightened about something that you do at Liberty Curtain, that I'm sitting here, I'm talking to the person and say, well, you know, what we need is effective schools and we need to do these processes. And the person says, well, they're already doing that at Liberty Curtain. I said, what? He says, yeah, it was a discussion about wellness. And being able to like, just tap the brakes a little bit and do just something a little different. I can't explain what you're doing. But that's stuff that's like basically flying under the radar that Liz is talking about. What are we already doing? It's, you know, you're talking about these programs that you got at the high school. We're trying to do with Bucktail. That, we're not seeing that. So then when we sit down, we talk with each other, not knowing that, or knowing that would change the nature of our discussions too. So it's everywhere, but your point's well taken, I guess, is what I'm saying. And it was not intended personally.
Of course it's not, and even if it was,
No,
It's okay.
No.
it's all right.
I
Thank you
don't
so much.
operate that way. That's not how I.
Okay,
you know.
Yeah.
all right, moving forward. Now we're on your 10A. Chris,
Yeah.
student activities, you had a comment?
I have a question, more or less than a comment. At the very top of it, if you open it, it says for informational purposes only, the student activities are included in the attached exhibit. No board action is required. But down in the belly of this thing, there's 13 people that are going to be listed under employment, with some of them have salaries. Does the board not?
I must have put the wrong description, I'm sorry.
Okay, because I
Which
would
is the
say the
typo.
board
Okay.
has to approve
Not a
that.
problem. You just delete no board action required, just board action required. Yep,
Yeah.
good catch.
Order.
Yeah, those typos.
Student activity.
Okay.
It's supposed to say student activity.
Okay.
Yep.
Because there's salaries and stuff in there, and I know we have to approve that. I just wanted to make sure why it said no board action, and that's all.
Student activities. What did I put?
But don't worry about it, you'll get it. Yep.
Yeah, there's 13 positions listed under an employment in there.
So we'll be voting on it next week.
It says student.
Okay, okay, is there any other comments on 10A? Oh my
No,
gosh.
that's just something, and this is something that if it's just a mistake, it's a mistake. If not, Justin, we can talk about it in personnel.
Okay, all right, thank you so much. All right, wow, 11A, future discussions. Is there anything you would like to see on any agenda or any updates? you want?
Shorter meetings.
Well, yes, that's the goal. I think we're all gonna be in alignment there.
I'll email you. I'll call you afterwards. Well, we were going to talk about some of the studies, and I was not there for the last voting meeting. But now I'm hearing we're curtailing the study. So like we were going to do like consider comprehensive study, some district, like some of that. It was in discussion. Nothing was finalized. And
Yeah, and again,
you're being asked to, I get it.
it's where do we don't focus on, so, just like the staff study, that's a given, I'm taking a look at that, we're looking at waiting for the start of school, how those things balance out, so that's gonna be there. The targeted studies now that you're talking about here tonight, so how does that play in, because that does have an impact on some of that stuff.
Personal.
So, like I said earlier, I just want to make sure we're not spinning our wheels. I want to make sure we're,
Should we just kick it back to curriculum? A committee for now, and just if it gets momentum, we take it next meeting?
that'd be fine with me. That'd be fine with me, because again, I just need just clear direction. So I'm not hearing one thing here, and something else here. Because I have to be able to direct, where we're going. So
So,
that's all.
so the curriculum one is going, the curriculum suggestion is going to the curriculum committee. And which one do you want to go to what committee? You want the operations to go back to finance committee? Okay, got it.
I think you put that on hold for the last agenda.
Yeah, because I wasn't
Yes.
there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, good. Thanks for reminding us. Yes.
Just to get it on our radar, since we only have one wellness committee meeting a year, I would love to have that we can have a discussion about that and see what we can do to grow that whole thing.
I was,
I don't know if it's on the agenda or not, but a month away, we're gonna sit down and quick do something that doesn't make sense.
would you like me to do this? I have a whole file on the wellness committee that I started 6 years ago.
Yeah.
We have a policy. Maybe you and I could meet for coffee or something and we could.
Perfect,
All right, good.
perfect. Thank you.
Pick a date. Don't leave it up to me, please.
You're buying for him. Gotta remember,
If it's under $5.
he's on limited income.
I'm cheap. All right. All right. Hey,
Motion to adjourn.
Yes. 9:27. Thank you all very much. Have a lovely evening.